Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for joining me. Sorry I have not been on in the past week, but the Queen's been a little bit busy trying to get the place together and running errands and not feeling the best as well. But thank you all for the love and support. So let's get down to business. This commentary is pertaining to Savannah Guthrie and her family. She's given an interview with NBC News, with Miss Hoda Kotb, and she's expressing her feelings pertaining to the disappearance of her mother, who her mother is, because she still feels that her mother is around her. And we also will discuss Sheriff Nanos. There is a recall in order to have him removed, and I'm going to give you the basics of that said recall. Thank you for joining me. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos is facing severe controversy, including a recall effort, a no confidence vote from his deputies, and allegations of misrepresenting his past, following criticism of his handling of the 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie missing person case and inconsistencies found in his resume. Nanos has been heavily criticized for his handling of the February 2026 disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Critics, including the Pima County Deputies Organization, allege he has turned the investigation into a personal ego trip, resulting in a rolling spectacle with a lack of major leads and a perceived rift with the FBI. Reports revealed that Nanos' resume contained false information regarding his tenure at the El Paso Police Department. While his resume indicated he worked there until 1984, records indicate he resigned in 1982 to avoid being fired following a series of disciplinary actions, the New York Post article notes. The sheriff's office described these as clerical errors. The Pima County Deputies Association announced a vote of no confidence in Nanos, citing a loss of trust in his leadership. Additionally, a former recall campaign led by former congressional candidate Daniel Gutierrez is underway, requiring over 122,000 signatures by July 10th to force a recall election in 2027. The Pima County Board of Supervisors unanimously voted on March 24th, 2026 to require Nanos to provide a sworn statement to answer the questions about his conduct in official records, says a Fox 10 Phoenix article. Nanos has defended his leadership and the investigation, while supporters note he has taken the criticism head on. That's just a synopsis of what is transpiring out in Arizona pertaining to the investigation. Mr. Nanos' background, work history background, and investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie is the catalyst of the story. And this is what happens in life. It takes one terrible event to get the ball rolling to other nonsense that was going on. And it had to be an 84-year-old missing, and possibly she is deceased. It's really a tragedy within a tragedy, is it not? But that is the point about people. People lie, cheat, steal, manipulate. There is no perfect person. But when you are applying and swearing into oath a position, you are told to tell the truth. And Nanos did not do that. He has lied about when he left El Paso. And it's a big lie. Lies. 8 suspensions. 37 days removed from working. That's serious business. And he's done, in my opinion. I don't care how you look at it. If you like him, don't like him. He's a cooked bird. Because the records don't lie. Where I have a problem with this information is, when did it come to light? Is it from Sergeant Cross, who was in a deposition with Nanos in December 2025, because they have this ongoing battle? When did it come to light about the criminal background? That's what I like to know. Mr. Cross, did you find out this information that he had lied, and you mentioned it in your deposition in December? You want it to be investigated? Because I think it's crazy that a person's been working 40-something years for a department, a legal department, and nobody had any idea that this man lied about being suspended numerous times, beating somebody up in the head with a flashlight while handcuffed. That case went before the grand jury. Luckily, he got out of that unscathed. Insubordination, gambling off duty. Now, the gambling off duty, I don't understand that because I feel like that's your private life. So, what is the big deal about the gambling? I'm confused. I mean, was gambling illegal in the state of Texas at the time? Because that didn't really make any sense to me. If you knew that he was gambling or you caught him gambling, where was he gambling at? A casino, juke joint? What? I'm curious to know about that information. But he has a sharp tongue. He's combative. He's obviously violent. Didn't like showing up for work. Tardiness. He just didn't give a fuck. He was what, in his 20s, late 20s? He didn't care. And I think he still has the same attitude here at Pima County. He's vindictive. That has been proven with putting Sergeant Cross on a desk duty job, and he's a sergeant. This other lady who was trying to run for sheriff suspended her so she couldn't, execute her campaign. Make it make sense. And the fact that they already have so many signatures from certain deputies already to recall this man, it's pretty sad. And I get it. Everybody is not going to be liked. Let's make that clear. So what I had to do was ask myself, Queen, what is really going on with this line of the resume and who Nanos is today? Is he trying to make up for a turbulent past with El Paso? Okay, I'm going to do things better. I'm moving to another state. I'm going to apply for a job. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to have a better attitude. I'm going to be a better Chris Nanos. Well, you can't really say he's a better Chris Nanos because you've got too many people saying negative things about him, that he is vindictive. He is spiteful. So he hasn't learned anything from El Paso from his 20s. The scary part to me is that this SOB is college educated. And when you hear him talk, you would not even, you couldn't assume that he even attended a four-year institution. The fact that he didn't like the people were holding him accountable for his words, which is strange because you majored in administration, which means you're going to have to talk to people, navigate with people, law enforcement as well, meaning you're going to be dealing with the public. So if you don't know how to talk, which we know a lot of people don't know how, degree or no degree, make it make sense. What was the goal for wanting to be in law enforcement? Help me understand. You don't want to talk. You don't want anybody to hear you talk. You don't even want anybody calling you out on what you said. Then that means you need to keep your mouth closed. That means you need to be in another occupation. That means perhaps you need to be just somebody that keys in information in the computer and they don't speak on the phone and they don't talk to anybody. Kind of like a data entry position. I'm not used to anybody hanging on to my every word. Isn't that what he said during the press conference? Well, sir, you're the sheriff. You're not making any sense. Don't hang on to my every word. Well, I know there's people that know me. People voted for me. So what? The people voted for you. What does that have to do with you lying on your resume because people voted for you? That makes no sense. It's no different than going into Walmart, speaking to the cashier a couple of times during the week, and she decides to tell Peter, Paul, Dick, oh yeah, Miss Susie comes through the line 2 times a week. She's a nice lady. But little do you know, this nice lady has a couple of dead babies and kids buried in her yard. Come on with it, Queen. Now that may seem extreme, but I think you see where I'm going with this. It doesn't matter that you had 400 something votes over the opponent. It doesn't matter that you were voted into office. It doesn't matter that you climbed the ranks of sheriff. The point is, had you told the truth, I would hope somebody would have said, no, I don't think you're a good candidate. But we have seen time and time again that people do have knowledge of a person's background, and they hire them anyway, such as cops who move around like priests from one place to the next. You had to have called and asked for their records. We're going to have to stop this passing the buck and pretending we have amnesia when hiring people, because there's so many people out here who want work, but they can't because of their work history. Maybe they're a felon, maybe they committed a crime, maybe they committed theft. They didn't get the job. So back in 82, 84, which is soever, nobody inquired about Mr. Nanos' history. You didn't call to say, hello, we have Mr. Nanos here applying for a job as a corrections officer. Could you tell me what he was like working? Do you know why he left? What type of disposition does he have? Is he hard to work with? Has he had any citations, suspensions? Would you hire him again? That's usually what they ask now. Would you hire Susie May again? Hell no. She don't like to come in when she's supposed to. She likes to curse people out. She likes to put her hands on people. She's been suspended 8 times. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, thank you so very much. Have a wonderful day. Sorry, Mr. Nanos, we can't hire you. Good luck on your job search. Now, the chief of police down in Memphis, I believe it's still a female, black female, she didn't have a great record either. She came from Atlanta, then went to what I believe North Carolina, then to Memphis, and she has some not so savory things on her history, and that's just been a couple years ago. And that wasn't 82 when everybody stuck their head in the sand. So let me give you an example. This certain African-American female who worked with the Atlanta Police Department decided to cover up for her friend's husband who was accused of sexual assaults against children. And because she wanted to be a good friend to another, let's say, police officer, sergeant, detective, whomever, she helped cover it up, not helping aid the investigation. And you're not supposed to do that. Doesn't matter that you have a fellow LE member, their spouse is being investigated for a crime, you're supposed to follow protocol. So then she left Atlanta, went over to North Carolina. I think North Carolina found out about what happened in Atlanta, such and such and such. Then she moves on down to Memphis. Do you all see where I'm going with this story? This woman has gone from 1, 2, 3 departments and ended up as chief of police down in Memphis. Checkmate. So it's what you allow. So obviously somebody kept pushing under the rug somebody's behavior. Why? And this is going to be the clincher here. Is this person still alive that did the hiring of Chris Nanos? Is this person still breathing? Number one. Number two, did this person, he or she, call El Paso to ask about his behavior, disposition, any suspensions, so on and so forth? Because what is going to be interesting is if we find out the person did call, inquire, and knew everything about Chris Nanos and hired him anyway. Because I think we all know that in this real world, people do know of your past, your history, your tone, and they deal with you anyway. They hire you anyway. That's why I gave you an example of this black lady who's chief down in Memphis. Don't know if she's still the chief of police, but that's to give you an example. She kept going from job to job, applying, and ended up chief right here in the great state of Tennessee. And somebody knew all about what the hell happened in Atlanta. You had to know, because it was a big controversial situation. How could you not know? Georgia is right next door to Tennessee. Now, next question. How many people learned of Nanos' history along the way? in the 40-something years. Because you have to admit, that's a long time to be working somewhere, living on a lie, banking on a lie. He has moved up what some would say the corporate ladder, the LA ladder, on a lie lies. And I don't want to say lie because it's more than a lie, it's lies. 8 suspensions, that's not a lie, it's lies. You've been suspended, plural. That's a lie. And see, you got to also put El Paso on blast as well. You all are just as much to blame as Chris Nanos, because you allowed him to continue working as a police officer, suspension after suspension after suspension after suspension. Hell, we ain't got the 10 fingers. You all were leaving the fingers to go to the toes. Well, buddy, I think it's time for us to let you go. You don't want to seem to cooperate. It's been nice knowing you. So El Paso, you need a whooping too. And Nanos doesn't care. If you notice his disposition, he was letting you know who he is during the press conferences. Stop hanging on to my every word, you know, like a kid throwing a tantrum. Mommy, I want that lollipop. I deserve it. I'm Chris Nanos. Don't you know who I am? Why are you all watching me? He's throwing a tantrum right there in front of the camera. Some of you missed that. Why are you all watching me? Why are you all trying to tell me what I should say and can't say and how I said it? And, oh, I said she got drugged from her bed and blah, blah, blah. Stop hanging on to my every word. Well, sir, if you feel this way, why are you in this line of work? Maybe you should write a script, rehearse it in the mirror before speaking in public. Nanos is in trouble. Let's just keep it real. Him got a boo-boo. Him got a big boo-boo. Nanos, you're a cook bird, bro. Ain't no dodging this. Ain't no talking around this. Nanos is a cook bird. It doesn't even matter at this point what he's going to say. But hey, there might be some people on these boards that might say, oh, well, I like him. He's nice to me. That's because you're not dealing with him every day. And we have seen this with true crime, people being accused of fraud, murder. There's always one or two that are willing to go out on a limb for the accused. So just as we have these deputies that don't like him, want him out, you can best believe there is somebody at the sheriff's department that likes him, somebody in the police department that likes him, somebody on city council that likes him, somebody likes him in Tucson, Arizona. But I'm going to still say he's a cook bird, because now you're known as a liar and you're still deflecting from that by saying, look at me, the people voted for me. That should be good enough to show people know who I am. This is what he said. People know who I am. No, they don't, sir. They don't know who you are. They don't know you like beating people in the head with flashlights. No, they didn't know that. No, they did not know you like to lie. No, they did not know you've been suspended 8 damn times. No, they did not know you didn't like coming to work, showing up, gambling off duty, if that's a sin. They didn't know any of those things, sir. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. They had no idea. Now they know. And as I said, somebody still will rally for Chris Nanos, but I'm not rallying for him. Because to me, he hasn't changed. There might be somebody out there that would say, hey, okay, there were some white lies, but he's done a great job as a sheriff. It'd be up to the masses to decide. But he has not been a great sheriff from what we're hearing. And it's like, and I get it. Everybody has they're entitled to their interpretation of a person's disposition. But if the people that are working under you, you got more than 5, more than 50. 50, that's a lot of people. I don't give a damn what anybody says. 50, 100, 200, 300, that's a lot of damn people. To say, hell yes, we want him out of here. Hey, I want my job back. Sergeant Cross seems like a nice fella. He's over the sheriff's organization. He wants his job back. He's sick of answering the phone. He's worked too hard to become a sergeant to sit at a desk and take in phone calls. Nanos, You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And that's my opinion. And I don't know all the details of what's going on at the sheriff's department, but I got a feeling just from what we've discovered, you lie about one thing, you'll lie about another. And the fact we got all these people saying negative things about you, that you are on an ego trip, this tells me you're the same guy that joined the El Paso force in 77. So we go from 77 to 2026. Nanos, you are a 70-year-old fool, clown. You don't respect yourself, so you can't respect others. So you can ride around at 3 feet tall in a Corvette, working out at the gym. I'm picking at him now. I don't care about any of that stuff because we know people do things on their personal time. The point I'm trying to make is that he has a little man syndrome. You all haven't figured that out? Have you noticed that about smaller people? Some of them, they're trying to overcompensate for what they think is something negative attribute. I'm a little person and I've got to stand tall with these big old men. So I'm going to act hard and I'm going to roughhouse the suspects, beat them up, push them down, put my arm around their throat, curse them out because I'm not confident with who I am. I'm a short guy in a world full of tall men. But who wants to be a dick just because you're a short person? Excuse my language. Why not just walk tall in your attitude and your disposition, Mr. Nanos? And you've seen this. Tall people, heavier people being bullies because they can. So it's really the same street, okay? The big guy is a bully because he likes to throw his weight around, and the little person becomes a bully because possibly he was picked on as a little person, and he decides this is the only way I can compete is to act rough and tough and show out. So this is what's interesting about this small man syndrome. Nanos is being called to the test 40-something years later. So God don't like ugly. It took 40-something years to get the truth out about Chris Nanos. And he has to be ashamed of himself, feel ashamed, but then possibly not. He probably feels no more ashamed than the person that pushed open Nancy Guthrie's door. Checkmate. And although some of you are accusing him of being involved, I do not. And I don't think that's a fair shake to Nanos to put him in the mix of this Nancy Guthrie hijacking, but he's just not a nice guy. I think that's been proven. Now, it's up to him and God what happens next. Best thing he can do is apologize to the great people of Tucson and apologize for lying. And basically, with what he's done on his 40-something year journey of lying, manipulating, backstabbing, and also hijacking this Nancy Guthrie case, bow out gracefully. Don't fight it. As Michael Jordan once said, I left while I was on top. But Nanos can't say the same. Just leave and be done with it. Because fighting it, it's only going to make it worse. I would just bow out gracefully. Because they're going to pull the records, they're going to show the records, and what's the point of lying, saying, well, I didn't do anything, I don't remember this, I don't remember that. First thing they're going to say is, you don't remember 8 conversations with your superiors? And more than likely, he probably had more than 8 conversations. And like I said, El Paso, they need their tails whipped too, because you allowed this behavior to go on in your district with Chris Nanos and possibly other officers. So you know if it happened in Texas, it's happening all around the United States. Everybody getting a warning of you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, that's not good. Come on now. And see, usually bad cops bring down other cops because now they want other cops to ride the ride. Nobody's going to know. And there's something else that some of you probably haven't thought about, but we're going to go ahead and discuss it before we listen to Savannah's interview. If you are this nasty in 1977, 1982, 1984, 2020 something, what else have you been doing? Bingo card. You're the sheriff. You are probably getting access, which I know you are. I shouldn't say probably. Access to people, funds, money, coins, jewelry, things being seized during raids. And I got a feeling you've probably put some of those things in your duffel bag. Tell me I'm lying. You and probably some other old dirty deputies. Because like I said, you can best believe there might be one or two that might like him. I don't know. But a man with this type of attitude will be the same type of guy that would steal the dope money out the evidence room. I said it. So while you all are worrying about that resume from El Paso, you might want to start counting all the dope and the money that's been seized by the sheriff's department. So you probably need an auditor. And that's possibly why he don't like the FBI. Did that ever occur to anybody? It's not that he was worried about that deputy allegedly trying to sexually assault this woman. Could it be he knows when the FBI comes in, they can find other things that's not so nice? Ding, ding, ding. I don't want them here. Because if they poke in one thing, they might poke in something else, and something else may come up. Kind of like this Nancy Guthrie case. She's the icing on the cake to who Nanos is. People have been probably fighting to get him out, which tells us a lot of people in Tucson are just what Queen has been saying. They live in a bubble out there. You're walking around with your doors open. You're worrying about not having light pollution and looking at the night sky and the stars and the full moon. You're jogging and walking in the fucking dark with your dogs. And you also allowed this freak to be your sheriff. There's something in the Wawa out there. There's definitely something dirty in the Wawa. And so you have to put all of it in one bowl. He's got a bad attitude 40-something years later. What else is going on with Pima County? Government, LE, sheriff, so on and so forth. I got a feeling you're going to hear some other dirty SHIT coming out of Tucson. And I don't think it's going to be nice. And I hate to say it. Nancy Guthrie is the lamb. If you follow where I'm going. She's the sacrificial lamb. And sometimes, as cruel as this may seem to some of you, God had a plan. I'm going to have this event happen to the Guthries, as cruel as it is, to bring forth the truth about Pima County. Come on with it, Queen. I think many of you know this is usually how it goes in life. It takes something really horrific to bring out the truth about something else. And perhaps Nancy Guthrie sadly became collateral damage to bring out the truth about Pima County. And I know it's not a great trade, but she is the icing on the cake to show Nanos is not qualified to be sheriff. And if you have someone that can easily lie and continue a tirade for 40-something years, they've probably been doing other unsavory things along the way. Now to Savannah Guthrie. Thank you for joining me. 2-part videos pertaining to her interview with Hoda Kotb. Let's hear what she has to say. It's a very sad commentary. I don't know how she did it, and I don't know how Hoda did it. Today is the source.
It was I guess a weekend for you. Yeah, the weekend you're on with me. So tell me what you were doing and what happened. Well, we just like I'm getting ready for Christmas. The boys trip to go play tennis, and so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually at Christmas. So we had a beautiful fun night together, and then I came home. And really, I just got home at the same time that Mike came home. We were just saying hi, get down our stuff, and the kids are running around. And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?" And she said, "No." She said, "Mom's missing." I said, "What? What are you talking about?" She said, "She's gone." And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, "Call 911." She's like, "I did. We called them. They're here." And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there's a stretcher and they took her out the back, but her phone was there and her purse was there and all the things, and it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there talking to her at the same time, and it was just chaos and disbelief within hours.
I want to interject there. The doors were propped open. Well done. Finally, it's been said. Allegedly, they get to the scene, Annie and Tommaso, and her back doors propped open. Now, did she mean door, just one door, which is that blue door with the glass in it, the window panes? Or the other doors, which would be to the patio before you get to the swimming pool? Because if we find out, this is true, that the blue door was open, and then that patio door, I don't know if there were French doors, so I don't know how many doors up to the patio. This would be very odd and strange to me. Why do you need all these damn doors open for one little bitty woman? Hello, Trish, thank you. Why would you need all these doors open? So when she said doors, I'm assuming Savannah means what she's saying, doors, not one door. So why are we talking about doors open in the back of the house? Very interesting information.
Vanna was making the long journey home to Tucson. Tucson, and you got to their house. Tell me about that moment. Just disbelief and hurting each other. And I think we're on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, really make clear from the very early moments, and Amy and Tommy were saying this isn't that case that you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. My mom, she was in tremendous pain. Her back was very bad. She was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off. And the doors were locked open. Yeah. And there was blood.
She's clarifying to us. There's no wandering off. She couldn't walk. Barely could walk, had back pain, feet pain. She could not walk, could not wander off. So there's no wandering off, going to get the neighbors because something has happened. You'll later hear why they did believe Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped. Thank you for joining.
Right on the front doorstep. So there was no wander off. And the doors were locked open. Yeah. And there was blood on the front doorstep. And the ring camera had been yanked off. And so we were saying,
Do something.
this is not okay.
Yeah.
This isn't, something is very wrong here.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about what possibly could have happened? Like, what could have happened? What went down? Did you?
I think my brother, I mean, my siblings are so amazing. My brother, you know, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence and fighter pilot and just brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was. And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew. And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said, what? Well, why? What? And then, I mean, it sounds so like how dumb could it be? But I didn't want to believe it. I just said, do you think because of me? And I said, I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe. But I knew that.
You did.
I hope not. I mean, we still don't know. Honestly, we don't know anything. We don't know anything. So I don't know that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money, we can make a quick buck. I mean, that would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear.
I'm gonna stop right there. The brother had to tell her this was a ransom. So I guess she kind of believed it, but still don't know what to think because nothing has been verified. Could it be that Savannah is also in a bubble? No disrespect to her, but as I said, everybody navigates differently. Everybody thought process is different. The brother automatically thought, okay, somebody took her for money. She's questioning, oh, really? You think that? Or is it because of me? And that would have to be a terrible place to be in, to think, I am the reason for the season. I'm the reason these person came in here and took our mother. Wow, that's a lot to digest. That's a lot to carry. It's a hell of a burden to carry, to think you're the reason that your mom is missing and possibly deceased. And many of us believe that she is deceased. It would be a miracle if indeed Nancy Guthrie is alive somewhere. And then you'd have to use common sense to say, well, if she's alive, why haven't you returned her home? Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
To think that I brought this to her bedside. That it's because of me. And I have to say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tony and my brother-in-law. I'm like so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
We want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom.
The initial days you and your sister and brother sat together and all the disparities that and managed to think of words to say. Were you able to do that in that moment?
Well, my siblings are amazing and we are a unit. And I talked about how brilliant my brother is, and my sister is equally brilliant and also has special powers of intuition and faith and language and depth of heart. And I feel like we came together with all these beautiful gifts that came from my mom and dad and from God. And somehow together we did our best to come up with the words to say. And I haven't posted one thing or said one thing that the three of us haven't decided together. It is surreal. It's how is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper?
Let me stop there. So if anyone, including myself, assumed that the FBI orchestrated the videos and conversations in the videos, she's telling you that it was a combined effort between she, Annie, and Cameron. Every word spoken in those videos. Very interesting information. And I always think it's good to clarify things, because that's what we're assuming every little thing from her movement, Annie's movement, brother's movement, Tommaso's movement. You're assuming this, and this. See, that's what I was saying, never to assume. You don't know anything until somebody speaks on it. And I'm glad she's finally speaking, but I still have a problem with the brother and the sister not being in the combined interview with her. I think they should be present. I think they should have been talking more to the news, as you see with other people who have, missing adults, children. It is always good to have somebody speaking. And I prefer that it's the person who's directly related to the missing person. That's just me personally. Or if they're found deceased and they don't have a suspect. I just prefer to see the parents speaking, the mother speaking. And I think these people should have been speaking directly to the news. Hey, let's get together. Let's, talk to the news. Tell them what we saw, what we heard, first phone call, what we saw when we walked in the door. Maybe the police didn't want them to say certain things about what they saw, heard. But I personally think you still should appeal to the public, because this is your relative. I don't know Nancy Guthrie. I don't know anything about her. So if you want to get the message out that your loved one is missing, why not appeal to the people and say, this is my mom. This is what she likes to do. This is her favorite color. This is her height, color of her hair, short, hairstyle, blue eyes, green eyes, whatsoever. I don't think there's anything wrong with speaking to the public about your loved one. Give a damn about what the police got to think. It's not their mother. Use the background. Got the windows open. But this is your loved one. So talk to the camera. I don't think I cared for the IG videos. Not to be crass or rude. I don't know, just something about that I didn't quite like. I prefer better if they had allowed the news, chose a news entity to meet them in a home and do the interview there if they didn't want to go, to the news station, but let the news cameras come to you and do the interview. Let you all talk publicly about your missing mother. Mom, I miss you. Mom, where are you? Mom, please come home. If you know where my mama is, please bring her home. But maybe they didn't want them to speak when all those notes started appearing. Don't say nothing. Because we have an alleged kidnapper. They want money. And some of you don't believe there was a kidnapper. Kidnappers. Some of you believe several involved, 2 involved, 3. It's interesting when I hear different law officials, retired law officials say, I think it's 1, I think it's 2, I think it's 3. But as I've told you, many people have gotten gone by the hands of one man, one woman. Come on now. They didn't need any help. Because I think most of you know the average person is unalived by one person. They don't need any help. That's just an assumption as well. There was more than one person. Well, if there's more than one person, why are we still sitting here talking about this lady 50-something days later? Where is she? And why hasn't somebody decided to give up the goods to get this money? But if I get the money now, I'm a snitch. I don't want to be a snitch. And frankly, I don't believe in giving money to somebody who helped get a person dead. That's my personal opinion.
And took an 84-year-old woman who dead of night in her pajamas, with no shoes, without her medicine. This little person to beg for mercy.
In the days that followed, multiple notes demanding payment were sent to various media outlets.
The notes or ransom requests. Did you believe those to be real? There are a lot of different notes I think that came, and I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real, and I didn't see them, but you know.
Several notes were sent TMZ news entities. Why didn't law officials show the notes to the family? You know, because sometimes seeing is believing. Let me read them. Let me hold the note. Let me see what it looks like. Let me see the wording. Because as I always tell people, interpretation is different for different people. Let me see the note. You know, maybe something will ring a bell. Let me see the wording. Because we all have our own wordings, do we not? The way we word conversations. So I think they should have showed them the notes. Maybe the notes could have jogged some type of memory of conversations they've had with somebody. Because I don't really know if we've heard everything that's in all these notes. You're going to hear her thought process on 2 of the notes.
The person that was sent a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves. Yeah. To a family in pain. But I believe the 2 notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real. When the ring camera video surfaced and you could see who that person was.
Before we get into the ring camera, Savannah, tell me why you believe 2 of the notes. What's the timeline on the 2 notes? The last 2, the ones you all decided to respond to. Why do you believe what was said? That's why I said, are we hearing everything that was said in all of the notes? What was said specifically that led you to believe, yeah, this is legit? I'd like to know what was said. Your sister and brother, do they believe those last notes or whatever you corresponded with is the truth and of a actual kidnapper? Because for all I know, different people were feeding off this madness of this woman missing. 2 to 3 different people. But then one minute they'll say, oh, well, these notes seems real. That was sent to TMZ, that was sent to the news people. You know, that's how it was relayed in the beginning. Then it drew silent. Then the weasel will pop out of the hole, demanding money, demanding this. I didn't really know where it was going, quite frankly. But as she has told you at the beginning of this interview, she may be perceived as a bit naive, could be naive, you know, about this circumstance of her mother missing. Could it be that she was naive to believe that 2 of the letters were the truth? Hello, Auntie Pony. How are you doing? Yes, very heavy topic. Because as I said, everybody's perception is different. So as a lot of law officials are saying, I can't really weigh on anything pertaining to the Nancy Guthrie case because I don't know the evidence. I don't know what they saw in the house, what her bedroom looked like. We're only getting a gist of it now when they're saying the doors were propped open, which is good information, damn good information. But what was on the inside? No shoes, possibly she was in her bed, but what was in the bed? What was in the bedroom? Where was her watch? Where did she normally keep the watch? Because remember, this person said the watch was at the foot of the bed. Well, why would it be at the foot of her bed? Because most women put their jewelry either in a drawer or on a nightstand or on a dresser. And I doubt Mrs. Guthrie would leave her jewelry on the edge of her bed unless she slept in it and you were yanking her around and the watch fell off. Could that be it? You realize she had it on. Let me snatch this watch off. Because it's going to tell a story. Maybe some truth. I don't know. But that's the sad part of the story. It's the not knowing. But as one law official said, when it all comes to an end, the arrest, it will possibly all make sense. The who, the where, the why. Exactly. But right now, nothing makes sense. But I'm still stuck on these doors propped open. Why? Why are you propping open doors? For what? For what reason? This is a bizarre stuff.
Just tell me what you thought when you saw those images of the person who took your mother.
I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying. It's just totally terrifying. And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed. I can't. It's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video.
Amen.
So I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel speculation that has started to swirl.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw what came to our door.
When you talk about that cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo, that it was somebody in your family, how did you weather that?
It's unbearable. And it has pain on pain.
I would say so.
There are no words. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand.
Wow.
And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law. And no one protected my mom more than my brother. And we love her, and she is our shining light. She's our matriarch. She's all we have.
Savannah and her family.
All right. So here, Savannah tells you she couldn't understand why people would assume that Annie and Tommaso are the culprits behind the disappearance of their mother. Very interesting. She can't understand. So maybe this is coming from the place of, I know them better than you do. You don't know them. But what do I always say on this network? Nobody truly knows anyone. And this is no disrespect to Savannah and her family, but some of us go by logistics data. No disrespect to you all at all. But a lot of family homicides, disappearances, however you would like to word it, it is a person inside. And I'm not here to say that any of these people did anything to the mom. I'm just going by the data. But she's speaking from her truth. See, once again, this goes back to perception. She's telling you, I'm on the inside. You don't know us. These two ain't done nothing. My brother loves my mother. My sister loves mommy. They took good care of her. Interesting. My goodness. She could not understand how people would assume that her sister and brother-in-law would do such a thing. So let's ask that question. Savannah, could you be wrong? And once again, as I said, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, and I've made my claim on this network. I have no idea who did this because I'm at a loss for words my own self. But could she be wrong? She don't know her family. Could it be it is still an inside job, and they may not have been the exact ones who went in there and took mommy out, but they got somebody to do it. I'm going to put up a poll. After listening to this interview, do you believe it's an inside job? Okay. And then I'm also going to put up a poll about Sheriff Nanos pertaining to should he be recalled from his position. Weigh in, everybody.
Stayed together in Arizona for weeks as the media coverage grew more intense.
We had to move houses many times because people came and not everyone is respectful, unfortunately. You know, there was a night we had to leave in the dark in the desert, holding hands, me and my sister and brother and I, get into a car waiting for us. Because the people outside were closing in. So
very sad.
we found a place that was safe, and then we couldn't really leave too much. So like those days are a blur. Yeah. Crying.
I wouldn't feel safe to leave anyway after that.
You feel the way the investigation.
After the mom went missing.
Well, it's still coming. Yeah. And yeah, people have worked tirelessly. And we see that. But we need answers. We cannot be at peace without knowing. And someone can do the right thing. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And our hearts are focused on that.
I think where Savannah ended that, the right thing is really, I think, the intent from the beginning. I think she was, a fantasy was that someone sees it.
Right.
Someone who saw someone who knows someone who will say something, because, you know, I think this is all about bringing Nancy.
It's not only a case where 54 days in, the bravery that she's showing in this interview is not to shine a light on herself, but to remind people that if you have anything to do with this, if you know anything, I firmly believe that somebody does know something, it's not too late. We can still bring Nancy home if you call them.
And one of the things Savannah actually said to me, she said, please remind everybody that there are lots of people who are missing, and that's why her family has donated to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and she wanted me to underscore that because she wanted to be clear, like this is also about a lot of people who are missing. But you guys know how strong Savannah is. I knew she was strong, but I didn't know how much until yesterday. Yeah, when I sat with her.
It's just of the takeaways there. The fact that a dear friend would blame herself out of that artist.
That was the hardest part.
Would blame herself for any of this when it's so sicko.
Yeah.
Sickos out there.
Yeah.
Kidnap a woman with all that. Yes. The only that she could sit there and do that.
Yeah.
Because I think what you have is the dancing is going.
And I think we're going to talk about that now. In fact, in the next hour, we're going to talk a little bit more about Nancy and the faith that kind of brought her to this point. So our love and prayer for Savannah.
Again, we want to mention again the phone number to call. If you have any information about this case, that phone number is right there on your screen. 1-800-CALL-FBI.
All right. That is the Today Show. We're now going to go to the next installment, which will be interview part 2. Thank you all so much for joining me. Take the polls on my community page. I'm typing them up now during the live. The first question is, should Sheriff Nanos be removed? They have until July to get 122,000 signatures by citizens. Will you sign the petition? The great people of Tucson. Will you sign the petition? Should he be removed? Should they allow him to stay despite this little white lie or two or three, so on and so forth? What should happen to the sheriff? Also, should he be arrested? I'm also going to put that on a poll. Should he be arrested for lying under oath? Now, as we have learned with the state of Arizona, he can still be the sheriff without that certification, still have a gun and so on and so forth. This other type of certification that you usually have as a law enforcement. I can't remember what it was called, but it's just some weird, every day is something strange about this case. And it's just expected because it goes back to what I keep saying. You don't know people. You don't know Nancy. You don't know this family. You don't know the neighbors. You don't know the Uber driver. You don't know the people that were running in and out of that damn neighborhood. You don't know who's worked for this lady, who has a vendetta against her, Savannah, Annie, Tommaso, inside job. You don't know nothing. Nothing. So yes, it's easy to speculate because we're human. But I guess to her, it's cruel. And I get that. Because she's trying to figure out, why are we looking at them? You don't know them. You don't know us. Why are you all thinking we have something to do with our mother missing? How dare you? I get that. That's the thing about being put on blast and put on Front Street without permission. People are looking at you through the looking glass, but they don't know you. We don't know you. That's why I said I don't want to even assume who did this. As I did with the Idaho 4, I never assume who killed those 4 kids. I can't do it here because I don't know the Guthries. I don't know how this lady navigated. I don't know how she talked to people, how she spoke to people. I don't know the ins and outs of Tommaso, Annie, because mainly they're the ones in Tucson. See, I don't have an idea because I don't know these people. And just like one person said last night, it could be just as random as the day long. Exactly. Any Joe Schmo, bored, sicko, wacko, looking for a thrill, because there are thrill seekers out here, psychopaths. They're looking for a thrill. Hey, let me see if I can break in this house, go in this house. And also, we've got this nonsense about, what is it, February 11th? Or January 11th, excuse me. May not even be the actual date of that photo still of the kidnapper without the backpack. Google can't say for sure that's January 11th. So all this running in the neighborhood to talk to the neighbors and ask about information on their cameras, video equipment. Google can't say for sure, hey, yeah, that was January 11th. That was weeks before February 1st. This is bad. Just as quick as you think you're getting good news, then you get another retraction. Now we're getting it from damn Google. This is why she needed the subscription. And also, I'm going to keep saying this. It's going to be jacked up if there is truth to the fact that this woman left her doors unlocked. So it didn't even matter about having the steel door in the front, the metal door in the front. What's the purpose of a metal door in the front if you're leaving the back doors unlocked, leaving windows unlocked, leaving glass sliders unlocked? Doesn't matter. Might as well just had no doors. And yes, we all can forget to lock a door. I've done it. I've told you all that recently, 2 weeks or so ago, running in and out, telling myself, oh, I'm going to go back to the door, wipe the door handles down after coming in from the trash chute, and forgot. It's easy to do. But when you're living in a home, you cannot assume you're in a safe environment because you live in what is called an upscale area. There's no such thing, because that is what the perpetrator is looking for. That one opportunity to smooze on in there, and invade your space, violate you. Thank you. You left the door unlocked. You left the window up. Thank you. You left your keys in the car. Thank you. You left the garage door open. Thank you. You left the door in the garage open. Thank you. Oh, you hid the key in a place I could find it. Thank you. You got to think. Don't hide those keys. Many of us have done it thinking, oh, you're going to come by. Okay, I'll put the key under the mat. But you don't know who could be looking, watching. You put the key under the mat. Stay woke, everybody. And even if nobody's viewing you doing it, if somebody decides this today they want to rob you, well, let me see. Did he put the key under the mat for their friend or daughter, whomever? Boom, boom, boom. There's the key. Oh, let me look in this clay pot over here. Oh, there's the key. Let me look under this ceramic frog. Oh, here's a key. They're going to look in the obvious places. You got to think of a more crafty place to hide a key. I'm sorry. Or just give a person a spare key. Might make it better. Part 2, everybody, of this NBC interview. Lord have mercy. Prayers to the Guthrie family. I'm also going to put up a question pertaining to her. Is she naive?
She's funny and a little mischievous, I would say, in her humor. She's a noble creature. She does what's right. She walks in faith, but not a fake, pious, put on faith, but like the grounded, earthy, she fought for it, faith.
When you posted Please Pray in the beginning, the ocean of love and prayers, did you feel that? Did you sense what was happening?
I do feel prayers, you know, I do, I believe that. I think she would have been just amazed, just truly amazed.
One of the images that stayed with me through all of this was you and Amy and Thomas
Hello, Pat.
walking up and looking at the flowers and at the notes. As I saw that, I thought, what those things going inside and what that must have felt like for you to go inside of your mom's.
Yeah, I wanted that too.
Your mom's house.
Yeah, I mean, this is the house that we grew up in. It's really the only house I've ever known and remember. We moved there when I was about 4, I think.
Oh, that's a long
It's
time.
a house where
4.
I came home on a Friday night at 16, and my mom and sister were on the couch praying and told me that my father had died. So
Okay.
that's what all of our memories are. Good and bad. So it's hallowed ground. My mom loved and treasured that house. In good years, some lean years, they were able to hold on to that house.
Yeah.
That's my mom's safe haven. It's really hard to say that I live
Yeah. I don't know how she'd go back to that place. I couldn't do it.
she must have felt as unbearable. It's unbearable.
Tell me, while you were spending all this time in Tucson, your kids were home, what do they know?
Well, it's so hard with kids because, you know, you want to protect them. They're going working all the time. Mama, any leads? Any hear anything? You know, any hope? And I think that, you know, we try to talk to them and try to give them a little more certainty than we have to let them
Yes, ma'am.
grieve. And for my little nephew Olmo too, you know, he's there's just a way in which this even so much harder than Annie and Tommy and Olmo because they're there. And they were there every day for my mom. They made it possible for her to stay in the house we grew up in that she loved so much. I think she always stayed in that house because I think she still felt my father there. All our memories even let her have her space. And it's just a way in which this is just even more excruciating for them and all that they've been through.
Now, we hear that Hoda says Savannah wants to make sure everyone understands that the family cares about other missing persons. That's why they donated money to the Missing Persons Foundation. But now that I'm listening to this information about her in the house, staying in the house, she wanted to stay in this house. Was there ever a time when the children thought she needs to be somewhere else? In an apartment, a small condo, because she couldn't walk? Because common sense will tell you the more rooms you have, that's more rooms to contend with, such as cleaning, dusting, etc., etc. So whether it's 1,500 square feet, 2,000, 5,000, whatsoever, it's still a part of your existence. A little patch of grass in the back, a swimming pool, all of those things have to be contended with. Front yard, shrubberies trimmed, you got to hire somebody to do that. And I think we all know that if you're not moving around in your house, you really don't know what's going on outside. You're not checking to see what's going on outside except through a camera. This is why this is baffling to me that there was no subscription. Because this is a woman who years ago wanted the cameras to look at the wildlife at night. So how do we go from wanting to look at the wildlife to no subscription, to record anything in case of a worst case scenario, not having an alarm on the house? Did she have a life alert? This is weird to me. So you're telling us that, hey, my sister and her husband took good care of my mother. But some of us made different opinions saying, well, why was there no alarm on the house? Why was there no subscription? You're telling us she couldn't walk, her back hurt, so she's basically down to maybe only checking the mail once a week. Stay woke, everybody. And this goes to what I'm saying about people watching the house. If there's no movement, a person will assume nobody lives in a house. Come on with it, Queen. There are no tricycles, bicycles, scooters in the yard, in the drive. No cars coming and going. No other cars being parked in the drive. If I'm driving by every day, I would start to think the same. Oh, does Susie May still live there? Nancy Guthrie still live there? Pay attention, everybody. Because what did I tell you? There's always somebody watching. Even if they don't live there, people watch, people pay attention. God knows, the things that people say. Oh, I ain't seen you. Blah, blah, blah. Well, why are you looking for me? You know how Queen is. Well, what are you looking for? Because this is what people do. They watch. People watch, people listen. They may never say anything, but they watch and they listen. So neighbors may be thinking the same thing. As we heard the one white guy say that lives behind her, oh, we haven't seen her in a while. We have not seen her. Say, well, now. So if we got neighbors saying, I haven't seen her, we haven't seen her, then a perpetrator who's out hunting is doing the same. He, she, they are watching and looking to see car movement, doors open, shut, close, lights on, lights off. Cars coming in and out of the drive. Let me drive by the house again and see if there's another car in the driveway. Let me see if she keeps company. And I'm with you, Pat, in the chat. Yes, all these people go missing, especially these children, when they've been out all damn day with their parent. And to me, Nancy Guthrie is no different. You went out for the night by Uber, come back, they drop you off. Sheriff says they were in the house. Please check out the interview on the Sheriff's Department's Facebook page if it's still up there. I want to thank the YouTuber who showed it on his channel. He saw it from somebody else's channel. Sheriff said they were in the house with Nancy Guthrie. Because the reporter, she asked 2 times. Were they in there? He said, yes, yes. So somebody could have left doors propped open. Come on with it, Quinn. So there's no disrespect to the Guthrie family. We're dealing in facts. And sometimes people don't like facts. And I got a feeling Savannah is this type of person. She don't want to hear the truth that possibly these people got tired of dealing with her because she don't even know that right now she's telling the story of what I have already said. Hello, Sophie. Sometimes people become tired. They want to be free. They want to go over here, go over here. They don't want to get up in the night and go check on mama. They want to get up and go see if the subscription is on, if the light bill's paid, the water's paid. Who's to say if she started having memory problems? You may not want to tell the world that. You might want everyone to think, yeah, Nancy was really sharp. Well, was she? I don't know if she was sharp because I don't know her. And as I said, any question or commentary I give you in this live, it is not to point the finger at anybody. Let me make that clear. It's not to point the finger at the Guthries. But what I'm trying to tell you is that there's always a story within a story. Savannah is giving you the story now of everything Queen has said for 50-something plus days. Doors open. Some of you had already mentioned that. Well, did anybody prop a door open? Did any of these family members go in and prop a door open? Now we hear the doors were propped open out of Savannah Guthrie's own mouth during this interview. You need verification? Today's show is the source. Now she tells us in this interview, they were taking care of mommy. Well, what if we learned they got tired? They got tired of taking care of her. Because a lot of you judge them for not even picking her up from her own home. Well, you're just a few minutes away. What was the problem? You were cooking a big meal with 6, 7, 8 people there. You couldn't get up from the stove. Make it make sense. This is why I always tell you to listen to what people are telling you. My daddy always taught me that. He said, you want to know the truth? Listen. Let the people talk. Don't even interrupt. Just let them talk. Could it be Annie and Tommaso got tired of taking care of Mrs. Guthrie? Too much work. Could the mother be the type that she complained a lot? Come over, fix this, do this. This ain't right. I need you over here. Come over here. I need this. I need that. See, you don't know. But I'm not here to say that's a poor quality, but some people may say, well, it's a nuisance. It's annoying. I know it's my mother, but I'm tired of getting up. I'm tired of jumping up. I'm tired of going to check on this. Just throwing it out there. Not saying that any of this is true.
What was a hard decision for you when you told me about this was coming back here, even leaving Arizona to come back to New York? Why was that so difficult, that choice? I looked out the window there. The sky clear. Desert, that beautiful desert that she loves. Where are you? How could I leave you?
Again, she got up half.
My mom taught me a lot about grief. Our family knows grief. My father passed when I was 16 years old. He was only 49. It was a shock. And I remember my mom saying in those early days when Daddy died, I think, you have to get up and decide and do. Just decide and do. And I read that in the book that meant a lot to her and her grief. And so I always remember that. So I'm trying to decide and do. Just get up and decide and do every day.
Amen.
You know, I felt terrible grief, and I felt unfathomable love and comfort. The goodness and kindness of God is remarkable.
Yes, it is.
And in equal measure to my sorrow. She showed us how to survive the unimaginable. When she lost my dad, she was 46 years old. She had 3 kids. She had never worked outside the home. She had to get up. She had to find a job. She had to mother.
Hello, Linda.
2 teenagers and 1 young adult just starting making his way into the world. She took care of her mother, her brother, who had Down syndrome.
Oh, wow.
She invited to come live with us. She worked part-time to make It's kind of neat.
I'm glad we're hearing about Nancy, who she is as a person. But there's one thing I have questioned during the 50 days of this woman being gone. Where are the other relatives? Because we hear that Savannah's telling us a story that it was Annie and Tommaso basically taking care of any needs pertaining to the mom. So where are the other relatives? Because now we're hearing about a Down syndrome brother. Don't know if he's alive or deceased, belonging to the mother. You got to remember she was 84. Don't know if this Down syndrome brother's still alive or not. But where are the other relatives? Nobody else around? Tucson? Where are the other relatives of Nancy Guthrie and also the deceased father? Stay woke. Anybody harboring any type of resentment? You all are living good over here. What about us? We need some money. See, just like what somebody said, what I said to my property manager yesterday, no telling who did this, and she said something that a few other people have been saying. It's probably person of person of person. It could be the pool guy who said something to his homeboy, his son. The maid said something to her sister's boyfriend. Stay woke. So I say the same about the relatives. Where are the relatives of this crew? Because you all haven't mentioned one side relative, which is bizarre to me. Nobody's gone to the news to say, hi, I'm a distant sister, cousin, brother, half cousin, sister, auntie, uncle. Come on now. I'm on Nancy's side of the family. I'm on the deceased father's side of the family. We're heartbroken. Nobody. It's like the only cocoon was of Annie Tommaso, Savannah, and Cameron. You remove Savannah and Cameron, allegedly, because they're on the East Coast, nowhere near Arizona. That just leaves Annie and Tommaso as the cocoon surrounding this 84-year-old lady, which is weird because I'm trying to figure out where are the other relatives? Where are these other people? Everybody's dead? Well, where is everybody? No cousins. You don't have any cousins? No first cousins. Not one person has come to the news to say, I'm a first cousin, second cousin, third cousin. We're heartbroken. It's very unusual.
She found a way.
Hello,
Another
T.
job,
Company.
a job she turned into a full-time job, a job she turned into a career. She had a second life of purpose and meaning. She had a million friends. She stayed strong for us. She was resolute. She was real. She grieved. I remember moments in my childhood and those days after my dad died. She was so strong. But some mornings, before dawn, she thought we were still sleeping. I would hear her crying at my door. To not be alone in her grief. So she taught me to be strong. She taught me to be true. For my faith is strong and resolute.
Hmm.
But early on, I felt that I heard for one of the very few times in my life, I did hear God speak to me. As I said to myself, I can handle anything, God. I can handle anything. I just can't handle not knowing. We can't handle not knowing.
Yeah.
I have to know. And I heard a voice. And it said, you do know where she is. She's with me.
Shut your mouth. Amen.
She's with me.
Ooh, Lord have mercy.
So whether she's on this earth still,
Exactly.
or whether she's in heaven, I know where she is. I know who she's with.
Well said, Savannah Guthrie. I may not know where my mother is in the physical form, but I know where she is spiritually. Amen. Woo, I got chills on that one. See, if you are a believer in God and the Bible, you know what she's saying is the truth. That this is not your home. God has you here temporarily. Kind of like that camera. This is a nesting place. Woo, come on, preach queen. This is a temporary nesting place. You're only going to be here for a little while. But I got somewhere better for you. So her body may be somewhere out there in that desert, but her spirit soul is with God. Amen. So I'm pleased to hear her say this, because that probably brings her a lot of comfort. I don't know where my mother is, where her physical body is, but I know where her spirit is. And in the end, guess what? That's the most important thing. If you're a believer, it's where your spirit is going to go. Not your body, because your body ain't going to heaven or hell. It's where your soul is going. But they still, I'm sure, would like to know where their mom's remains are. Lord have mercy. And as I have said to you before, under the circumstances and the timeline, there probably would be nothing left of the woman if she was disposed on the outside, due to the fact that they do live in the desert and you have to count wildlife. And that's a terrible thought process of what has happened to my mother out here in the wild, plus what happened to my mother to get out to be disposed of. That's a lot to carry. And then thinking you're the blame for why your mom is gone in the first place. And also people judging you that, oh, it's because you're wealthy is the reason why the news and everybody keeps focusing on your mother being gone. So she's carrying a heavy burden that many of us are not carrying. And it's easy to judge. Why do they keep talking about that old lady? Why do they keep talking about that old lady? For that very reason, because she's elderly. Whether she's Nancy Guthrie's, she's the mother of a famous person or not, she's still a human being. And I get it, a lot of people don't get this airtime. But you know, this happens all the time with famous people. Anytime their mom, dad, son, daughter gets arrested, goes missing, gets in trouble, it's talked about. But as I said, this still has to be a terrible place to be, thinking I'm to blame for why my mom is missing. I'm blamed by society for why they keep talking about my missing mother. But my mother has prepared me for this day to be resilient. To be resilient. Wow. Very serious words.
But we need to know.
I mean, Savannah's family has been on display over the years, but never quite like that.
I don't know if people realize that none of us have had much correspondence with her over this whole 54-day ordeal. So as we're watching this with the world, we're learning and unpacking so much about our dear friend. This part of the process, her life to be in the moment.
Yeah, but what's amazing is the very source of her pain is the very source of her faith.
Exactly.
And she's
Amen.
showing her the path. She's just amazing. We get the sense about watching it. Obviously, the grief is just unfathomable. It's hard to watch. It seems like she's found some peace.
I think she's
Found some peace.
I think she has found some, but I think she wants the answers too. She says that no one will steal the joy. No one can walk into their lives and steal that joy. But when she talked about the equal parts, like she's seen the best of
humanity and the worst of it. She's seen the best of faith that's carried her through. And her mom taught her that, like, still teaching her lessons to this day. I learned so many things that I did not know about Savannah in that moment myself. And Nancy especially.
And the thing about Nancy too was she had this wicked sense of humor. I remember saying something to her about a school in Arizona that did not accept Savannah, and she had a pithy remark. It's not repeatable.
I have to say, and since we've all met and known Nancy, to really understand who she is is really special. But we're going to hear a lot more from Savannah. She actually revealed what her plans are, not just returning home here to New York, but returning home here to today. So we're going to talk about that, her future. And then tomorrow night, I'm going to have a more conversation. It's a special edition of Dateline. It's at 9/8 Central. We'll learn more.
And I'm watching this too. We love you. Can't wait to everybody. Again, if you know anything that could help bring Nancy home, we urge you to call that number on your screen, 1-800-CALL-FBI.
All right, everybody, that's the today's show. So Friday will be continued conversations pertaining to Savannah Guthrie and her mother missing. Would anyone like to come on to the panel to give their conversations, commentary pertaining to this case, the latest with Mr. Nanos? This is a two-part live. If you did not come into the first 30 minutes of this live, I talked about the Sheriff Nanos, so I want to recap what was said in the beginning of that live. There is a recall to get rid of Mr. Chris Nanos, the Sheriff of Pima County. As most of you know who are following this case, there's been some discrepancies on his resume that has come to light, and there are people who want him out. Okay, he also lied on a disposition back in December pertaining to his work history of not having any suspensions. This is pertaining to Sergeant Cross, who has been at odds with Mr. Nanos about his position in doing desk duty. And many of you have probably seen him on several panels on YouTube giving his commentary and his disposition dealing with Nanos over the years. A lot of people do not care for him that are in law enforcement, Pima County. And as I have said before in my commentary, everyone is not going to be liked, but there's something shady going on out there in Pima County. And if you have someone who has lied to get a job, he has probably done other things in his tenure as sheriff and law enforcement out there. And that's just how I feel. Because as I said before, one could say, well, sheriff is trying to redeem himself. That's why he's running the sheriff department with an iron fist. Then the flip side is, well, he hasn't changed from El Paso. Oh, you go out here to a whole nother state to get a better job, to redeem yourself, but yet you have a still funky attitude and you're vindictive. That doesn't sound like a changed person to me. He's not objective. He wants things his way. He doesn't want other people's suggestions, whether you work for the department or you work for the FBI. That sounds like a person with an ego problem that wants to be the head knocker. He wants to be the head of the snake and the damn tail. Come on with it, Queen. I'm the whole snake. The head, the middle, and the tail. Ain't no in between. I don't want your suggestions. I don't want your thought process. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't even hear you breathe. He's an ego maniac. He has a little man syndrome. He's what I call a 5-foot giant. Just a person with a little body and a big head. No common sense, no morals. Don't give a damn. As I said, to me, his demeanor is no different than the person that went into Nancy Guthrie's house. I said that, and I mean every damn word. Could it be, Chris Nanos, you are chasing your doppelganger? Whoa, come on, Queen. Lord have mercy. Chris Nanos, you're chasing your alter ego. Because you see, you don't seem to have empathy. Just like the person that went into Nancy's house. That person doesn't have any empathy. They're walking around just an empty shell. You are no different than the kidnapper. I said that. And I bet some of you are like, I'll be damn that queen. You are the kidnapper, are you not? Because you have the same demeanor. See, this is what I keep trying to tell you. People can be eerily similar, but don't commit the same acts. Oh, I'm not a murderer, not a child abuser, not a child molester, but I don't give a damn about nothing. That's Chris Nanos. You're going to do things my way or take the highway or get gone altogether. But you see, God said, no, bruh, your time is up. I'm going to make sure you get up out of this box. You've had a 40-something year run over Pima County. It's a done deal. So see, God can touch you on the shoulder at any age. 84, 70, 42, 22. And that's what's happening here. God gave him a 40-something year reign to have a chance to go work on a lie. And some will say, well, Queen, that's not really God, that's the devil's work. Well, you got that right. So let's say Satan let you have a job. Satan let you have a job on a lie, and you climbed up the ladder with Satan on your back, manipulating and connery and foolishness. And ain't no telling what else you've done, Chris Nanos. Your time is up. And if anybody's listening to this live stream or to local news, Facebook, internet, cast your vote to get him out. Because I got a feeling Chris Nanos has been a very bad boy. And he's done some other unsavory things pertaining to being sheriff, deputy, corrections officer, because he doesn't know how to follow instructions. And he's letting you know, I'm a head knocker. I don't want to follow instructions. I don't like being told what to do. Most of us don't like being told what to do. That's just human nature. Nobody likes to be bossed around, told what to do. But when you work a position, a job, at some point you are going to have to follow instructions or your ass ain't gonna have no job. But he appears to be a hothead to me. So it wouldn't matter if he had entered into law enforcement or not. Had he worked at Piggly Wiggly, was the manager at Burger King, he wouldn't have any employees. He would be in there flipping the burgers, working the drive-through and the cashier job at the front desk by himself. Because some people you just cannot work with. It's just the way it is. Pat says, I was thinking a lot of people don't like that sheriff and they couldn't figure out how to get rid of him. Maybe somebody came up with a plan to make him look like a fool. Really big case. What are you saying, Pat? What are you trying to say? Somebody in the department has unalived Nancy Guthrie to set up Chris Nanos, knowing his behavior? Well, some of us have thought about, is LE involved as far as, somebody in the police department being involved, because there are cases of police officers who sexually assault and also rob houses. Is this a law enforcement kidnapping? Could this be somebody who works in law enforcement and decided to rob a house, knew of a person living alone, knew that it was Savannah Guthrie's mom? I don't know. Let's go to my community page. Take the polls, everybody, on my community page. A few of you have voted. Well, what is this mess here? Man confronts sheriff at Nancy Guthrie's house. Oh, you all are doing too much. Know how to leave well enough alone. Two-part live, everybody. Sheriff Nanos to be recalled. 122,000 votes needed by, I believe, what is it, June 10th? July 10th. Get him out of the way. 7 people voted. Is Savannah Guthrie naive about family being involved in mom's disappearance? 57% yes, 29% no, 14% not sure. 4 votes. After recent Savannah Guthrie interview, do you think family is involved? 50% yes, 50% no. Okay. Should Sheriff Nanos be removed. Yes, 100%. 3 people voted. Wow. More Pima County information, everybody.
Supervisors discussed Pima County Sheriff Nanos' work history today. It comes after the Pima County Sheriff's Department addressed 2 clerical errors on the sheriff's resume. One stating that his service with the El Paso Police Department ended in 1982, not 1984. The other that Nanos was promoted to the rank of captain in 2007, not 2009.
13 News reporter Renee Romo joining us live now downtown. And Renee, you've been following this issue since last week. What do we know now?
Well, Dan, Brooke, the board voted unanimously in favor of requiring Sheriff Nanos to submit a sworn statement. And the first step is directing their lawyers to write up questions. Supervisor Matt Hines is the one who put this item onto the agenda to discuss Sheriff Nanos' work history, which he has described to me as concerning. But he wasn't alone, as we saw numerous people share the same sentiment during call to the public.
The sheriff's well-documented history with the El Paso Police Department should have never granted him employment in the Pima County correctional system, much less declined to sheriff.
We asked our members a clear question: confidence in Sheriff Nanos to continue in office, or no confidence and a call for his resignation? The verdict was unanimous. No confidence. He has lost the faith of his deputies and the community.
Sheriff Nanos' time at El Paso Police Department has become a focus for Supervisor Hines. Hines told me he learned the sheriff had faced multiple suspensions during his years there, which Hines says he omitted when applying to work as a corrections officer in Pima County. And now the supervisors are using a state statute to look more into the situation.
If the board does vote to basically compel this particular county officer to come before us or to submit a sworn written statement, then he would need to do that or potentially face removal.
Hines tells me the questions they have for the sheriff could go beyond his work history to address other concerns. In a statement from PCSD, a spokesperson said Nanos will comply with the state statute to provide the report to the supervisors, saying in part, quote, he has always been transparent and will provide a report once more direction is provided by the Pima County administrator. Because this is a legal matter, the sheriff is unable to comment any further on this matter. Now the board's outside counsel will come back to the board with those questions by the next meeting on April 7th. And from there, the board will figure out what next steps. Reporting live in downtown, Renee Romo, 13 News.
All right. KOLD is the source of that information. He's been transparent, can't speak. But that's a lie. You have not been transparent. See, this man is delusional. Nanos is delusional. How are you going to tell the public you've been transparent? Then you told the public the other day, oh, I wasn't invited to the meeting. Hell no, you weren't invited. They were there to talk about you. They're going to give you a chance to respond, sir. They're going to ask you the same questions you were asked back in the deposition back in December. Sir, have you lied about anything on your resume? Sir, have you been suspended, sir? Do you have improprieties from, Lord have mercy, El Paso, sir? Hey, you might want to ask, what has he done since he's been in Pima County? Hey, you all better stay woke, because I'm woke. Old habits die hard, and I think that's obvious with Sheriff. If you were a fuck up in El Paso, you've been a fuck up over in Pima County. I think what's happening is just like most crimes dealing with judges. You keep giving them bonds until they finally kill somebody. Then you say, oh, you murdered somebody? Okay, no bond. Day late, dollar short. So to me, this is no different with the sheriff. You all are giving him passes. You're passing him on to the next person to be a problem. Somebody needs to stand account for not verifying his information. And as I said before at the beginning of this live, we may find out that he was, somebody did ask questions and just hired him anyway, desperate to get some people to come work. Because, you know, corrections officers, they don't stay on long. People run in and out of those doors like, you know, in and out, in and out, in and out. Oh, he's a bad boy. Yeah, we need him. He can knock some of these guys in the heads over here. We'll cover it up. I'm trying to tell you, you're going to find out more about Sheriff now that the cat is out of the bag. Hello, Bonnie. He said he wasn't invited to the meeting. Right. He didn't want an invitation. He didn't want an invitation. What was he going to say? How you doing? How y'all doing today? He already mad at Brian Enton. That's why he won't give Brian Enton an interview. I commented under Brian Enton's video maybe 2 days ago. I said, Brian, Sheriff don't want to talk to you because you didn't talk to these people who have negative things to say about him. Don't worry about it. Let it go. Stop calling him. Don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying this now. Stop calling him, Brian Enton. The Queen's talking to you. Stop calling the sheriff's office for an interview. He's letting you know he don't want to talk to you because you have spoken to people who don't like him. But see, that's the gist of the story. They have proven what they're saying about the sheriff. He don't like you. He cuts you off at the ankle. Brian Enton didn't know what these people were going to say about the sheriff. He don't know these people. And now that he's interviewed them, now the sheriff has a damn attitude. Okay? The sheriff is letting you know, I am just what these people are saying about me. I am vindictive. I don't give two F's about nothing. It is what it is. And guess what? Him only going to NBC to do the interviews, that's because Savannah works for NBC. He's trying to be in the good graces of the Guthrie family. But I don't think you're in good favor with them because now they know that you've been a liar to get a job at Pima County. So why are they going to believe anything you have to say? And you can't say you're being transparent because you've already lied to get a job. And you're vindictive. Putting somebody on desk duty, putting the other lady on suspension so she couldn't run for sheriff. You're just a dirty old man. You're just a dirty old man. And I keep trying to tell people, if this is what you're hearing about the sheriff in 2026, imagine what you don't know. Because you didn't know any of this. You know why you didn't know any of this? Because one, we don't live in Arizona. Two, we didn't know Nancy Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie is the catalyst to all of this. God puts everything in motion just the way he wants it. And as I said, although this is a terrible, terrible case of a woman missing, possibly deceased. Many people are going to say it's not a missing case. It is a homicide. So we'll say it's a homicide. God made sure that to take one human from the earth, he would expose a dirty sheriff. And I know some of you may say, damn, Queen, I didn't look at it like that. Well, think about it. I give you time to think about it. What are the odds that this man has reigned terror on Pima County for 40-something years in different positions, and now the cat's out of the bag about him lying about some SHIT from 82, 84 due to the fact that an elderly woman is missing? Because God wanted it to come out just the way it has. And it ain't saying that people weren't in the works of trying to get rid of the sheriff before Nancy Guthrie went missing. But now she's the icing on the cake. So the proof is in the pudding, literally. Nanos is a problem and was a problem before Nancy went missing. That's the bottom line. He is a problem human being. And it took a woman going missing for it to be highlighted that he's vindictive and he does not need this job. And he has lied to get into law enforcement in Arizona. And somebody needs to stand account for hiring Chris Nanos. And we're going to take it back to El Paso. You all need to stand account for allowing him 8 suspensions. So you can't have one without the other. All of you are at fault. El Paso, Pima County. Because Nanos could not do no more than what you allowed him to do. He stayed on the job acting a donkey's ass for 5 years in Texas because you allowed him to. He went over to Pima County line and got on in one position, next position. Now he's the damn sheriff. And he has not changed. You would think he would say to himself, I'm going to be a better man. I'm going to follow the rules. I'm going to follow the protocol. I'm going to have a better disposition. I'm not going to pop off. I'm not going to beat people over the head with flashlights. So I'm curious now how his work record, what it looks like once he got to Pima County. Anybody got beat up, found dead in their cells? Pima County? Any money missing? Any documents forged? Stolen evidence from the evidence room? Yeah, I'm going there because I don't trust him. And if you can stand before the people now in 2026 and say that you're transparent, knowing you got the job on a lies, that tells me you're delusional and you don't really care what the public has found out about you. You're just going to ride this donkey ride right into the fire. And I think Nanos knows that this job is getting ready to end. He's just going to live it up and continue until they say you're out of here or he resigns. Now, as for him going to jail, that's the next question I need to put on the poll. He can only be arrested, I think, if he's committed any crimes that are felonies while he was sheriff. Anything they can have proof. But I don't know about Arizona law as far as arresting him for lying under oath. Maybe, maybe not. But they also have to have proof of felonies committed while being sheriff to arrest him for any said crimes. So let's ask, Sheriff, have you committed any crimes while working for Pima County? I'm just going to start from 1984. Have you committed any type of crimes? Sexual assault, lied on documents, which we know you've done that. This is sad to me. Sophie said he probably covers up or looks the other way regarding crooked cops. Well, Sophie, that's why he doesn't like the FBI, because one of his deputies was accused of attempted sexual assault of another, I think, LE member or a woman. So FBI came in to investigate that said crime, and that's when he had a problem with the FBI. But this is the point of that, as Maureen O'Connell has said, you should know damn well that what happened back in 17, 18, the same FBI agents are not still investigating, this new case with Nancy Guthrie. Those agents could be halfway around the world. But this is what happens when you don't have common sense and you're so, what's the word I'm looking for? Bent on being angry and vindictive. You didn't want the FBI to come in and help you here. You're sending evidence over to Florida when you could have let them take it to Quantico. He's just a hothead. He's just a hothead, that's all. That's obvious. Florida can't get mad because you don't want to send evidence down there. What are they going to do? Throw a temper tantrum? Oh, I want the evidence. Give it to me. They should be glad not to get it. I'm sure they have a lot of crimes to solve down there in Florida. There's just a lot to this case that's baffling, such as other evidence. We hear Nanos mention that. I don't really like talking about Nancy Guthrie. That's why in the past week I have not been live, because I feel like, what is the point of me repeating anything? Because every time you repeat something, you've got to take it back because he then takes it back. Yes, he's cocky. So why should I even discuss really anything about Nancy Guthrie? Because there's always a retraction. So we've got evidence sent to Florida, comes back to nothing. Then we hear there's other evidence that they have, don't know where that is and where it's going. Then we hear Savannah tell us in this Today interview, doors left open, propped open. Make it make sense. Blood on the front step, but back doors propped open. Why would back doors be propped open? So what are we talking about? The blue door in the back and another set of doors or door near the patio? Next camera business. Google can't decide that the still photo of the guy without the backpack is January 11th. But yet you all told us weeks ago you thought it was January 11th. No break-in, no forced entry. So are we going to find out that her doors were propped open at some point while she was still awake? Before she even lied down on her pillow? Then that means somebody would have to have access to her house, or the doors were propped open after the suspects made entry into her home. What are we talking about? And yet, Savannah tells us she's upset that people think her family is involved. How could you think like that? Well, Savannah, we can think like that because we're human beings. And we know the status of data pertaining to crimes of children and adults is usually somebody that knows them, or somebody the victim came in contact with. Nobody wants to think ill of their relative as being a murderer. But the point is, you're speaking on what you think you know of Annie and Tommaso or anybody related to these people. You don't know people. You don't know a person's inner thought. Most people are going to be ashamed to tell another human, hey, I'm tired of taking care of this kid, or I'm tired of taking care of my mother. I'm tired of taking care of my aunt, my uncle. I'm tired of taking care of this disabled kid. Nobody wants to say that because they know people are going to judge them. They know this. Oh my God, that's so cruel of you. How could you say that about your own kid? Oh my God, how could you say that about your own mother? You should be grateful. You have a living mom. But you know, the one thing I try to explain to people is that things change. I think most of you notice that are adults. Anybody over 50 watching this live know that who you were friends with at 30, you may not be friends with now. The relationship you had with your mom or dad growing up, you may not have the same relationship now. Because things change, people change, circumstances change, people attitudes, dispositions change. I think you know this. We also know that things change when people die. People fall out, argue over possessions, estate, money. And she's speaking very highly of Annie and Tommaso. So I'm assuming they get along. They're all friendly, and the brother as well, Cameron. She's shocked that people would think they did anything. But maybe you are naive, because you were naive to even think that this was about you. And as I said before, this is a terrible place to be. Wondering if you're the reason why your mother is missing. And maybe she is in a bubble. Maybe she is not living in the real world of thinking, okay, I'm the reason my mom's missing. My family could be involved, could be a distant relative, could be somebody that worked for mom. As I said, it'd be a terrible place to be. Some of us lost our moms and dads when we were kids. Yes, you should feel blessed to have our moms for so long. Yes, that's what I'm saying. But the flip side is, Sophie, there are people who are taking care of people who, you know, they are tired of doing so. I think you know people like that. Some people are tired of taking care of others. No different than people tired of raising their children. So they start slacking off, doing things they shouldn't do. Such as, I don't want to feed you today. I don't want to clothe you. I don't want to send you to school. I don't want to give you any kisses or hugs today. Throwing them off on other people to keep them, babysit. So the elderly is no different. You don't know what's in the mind of a human being. You don't know what people are feeling about doing this and doing that for friends, family members. Because you have to admit, taking care of other people is a job, depending on the needs of the person. You're talking about a person who cannot walk. Do any of you know what that's like when you can't walk? I don't think anybody's thinking about what happens when you are not moving about. You now can't do basic things in a timely fashion. That means bathing, using the restroom. Did she wear diapers? Has she fallen recently? Was she on a walker or a little roller push cart? Was she on a cane? Was she on the standard hospital style walker? See, thousands of questions. Was she keeping her house up? How did the house look? Was it being cleaned? Because as I said, how you start is not how you finish. She was well coiffed in a lot of these pictures, dressed nice, looked nice, but at the end, I don't think she could have looked like that. Could have looked frail, could have been slumped over, could not have been taking good care of herself. Because you have to use common sense. If you can't walk, that means you can't stand. That means you can't stand up long in the shower. That means you've got to sit down in a shower seat or a built-in seat in the shower. Was she able to wash all her body parts thoroughly? Was she able to cook? Could she empty the trash? Was the trash running over? Was she starting to forget things such as locking the door, leaving things in the stove, on the stove? Stay woke. Because then you got to ask, what was causing her not to be mobile? Savannah tells us her back was bad. She had a bad back. Could it be that this family, they got tired of taking care of her, hired somebody to get rid of her? As some people were saying in the interview rooms commentary last night, I like Maureen, retired FBI agent. Thinks it's a homicide. Just a cold-blooded homicide. Somebody did not want this woman for whatever reason. Didn't want to be bothered with her. So then you have to use discretion in who would want a woman, 84-year-old woman, dead. Because you can fall out with anybody over anything. You looked at them, you bumped them. We heard somebody talking about that. Somebody bumped somebody by accident, a serial killer, and he went back and killed a woman because she bumped him on a public street, didn't say excuse me. So I've mentioned that in my earlier commentary. Could this be just a vendetta against Nancy Guthrie? She didn't pay somebody, she didn't tip somebody, she owed somebody money for a job, landscaping, caregiving work. Was she paying by cash? A lot of old people deal with cash, don't write checks. Some still write checks. Was she anybody taking care of her, working through an agency? See, you got to ask all those questions. Uber driver, did she have words with one of them? Hey, you're taking too long. Hey, you went down the wrong street. Hey, can you stop over here at the convenience store? Maybe she pissed somebody off. I don't know. But I know we're living with people who are unhinged, and they don't mind knocking you off over something as simple as, damn, lady, I brought you a pizza and some soda pop. You can't tip me. Hey, I sit outside your house every time you need to go to the store and you take too long getting to the car. Sick of her. Okay, I'll knock her off so she can quit calling. Stay woke. See, you don't have to agree with the motive for getting rid of this old lady because it's not about you. It's about the idealism from this perpetrator. I'm sick of this old lady and I don't want to deal with her anymore. You know, I'm not trying to laugh, I'm just saying. The reason ain't supposed to make no sense because you're talking about unaliving a human being. And there's nothing that an 84-year-old woman should be doing that would upset you, piss you off. Do you have to say to yourself, okay, she's old, I'm going to give her a pass just because she's 84. I'm not going to argue with an 84-year-old. But that's not the thought process of Joe Blow. Joe Blow said, hell yeah, I'm carrying a grudge against this old lady. I don't like what she did. I don't like what she said. If it's her daughter, I'm tired of taking care of her. I want some money. I want to live good. I want more out of life. I want to be able to travel. I'm not making a lot of money to do anything. You got to remember, we live in a world that's full of aesthetics. Everything is about me, and what everybody else got. And I'm going to give you a for instance. Today, I was just chilling here in my home, minding my business, watching this cable that I rarely watch. So I just looked at the screen and it was on Bravo. So there were old episodes of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So I'm watching it. I've seen it before, but I'm just not really doing anything. You know, I'm just saying, I'll just watch it just to have something to do. What do you notice when you watch these type of programs? You're looking at people coiffed up, dyed hair, long fingernails, painted faces, lip fillers, chin tucks, eye tucks, body tucks. Everybody's worried about why this one blonde-haired white lady's got a little bitty butt in a bikini, why she's only wearing bikinis on the Hawaiian trip, because she can. Everybody's got designer clothes on, nice jewelry, costume jewelry, nice clothes, nice cars, nice homes. Do you see where I'm going with this? Aesthetics. Competing with each other to look better, live better. So when you're looking at that from the outside, you already know that some of these people have problems. They're kooky, crazy, cocky, arrogant. Some are nice, some are not. But you're looking at a glimpse of their life. Could be real, could not be real. Well, think about the person who's looking through the looking glass, but they want what these people have. Exactly. I want those nice things. I want to be able to go to Hawaii for the weekend. I want to stay at a nice hotel for the weekend. I want to go to the Bahamas for a week. I want to go to Italy, France for a week, 2 weeks. I don't want to continue to borrow from Peter, Paul, Dick, Mary to survive. I want to be able to have a house paid for, car paid for, food in the refrigerator, spare freezer, spare refrigerator in the garage. Do you all see where I'm going? I want the American dream, but I don't really want to work for it. I just want it free. Then you have those who have really, really worked hard, but they still can't attain those things. And they might just decide, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get these frivolous items that everybody's banging their head against the wall to get. This could be her sister, and maybe she don't know that this is how her sister is, or the husband as well. He might want to wear Gucci slippers and take trips out of town and overseas and walk around in velvet robes. I don't know. I don't know these people. All I know is we live in a world filled with garb. And frankly, all of this garb comes from China. It doesn't really mean anything, but we want it. Whether it's a blender, a toaster, a nice comforter for the bed, we want it. And for all I know, this couple could be the couple that wants more, needs more. Tommaso is a school teacher. School teachers don't really make a lot unless they're in a really highfalutin district and it's a town that has money. Okay, just keep it real. And if you don't have a side job, a side hustle, that's the only pay you're going to get. And my understanding is that this business of what Annie's doing, making jewelry, whatever, it ain't making no money. She's either working for herself, having to pay overhead for a spot in a business, you know, where she has to pay rent. Well, that's money. And that money has to come from somewhere, such as people buying your merchandise. And it can become stressful if you're not making the money and you're thinking, oh, I might have to close my business. See, I don't know all the details about what Annie does and if she's paying rent to a landlord or whatever for her spot, business, whatever. I don't really know the ins and outs. All I'm trying to say is people want more. And some people are willing to do horrible things to attain it, such as homicide. Everybody has different thought process pertaining to Nancy. What happened? Why? As you hear Savannah saying, she thinks 2 of the notes were real. So see, you don't even really know where to go with this story. You can't believe the evidence. You can't believe Sheriff Nanos. You're listening to one family member talk. I'd like to hear from Cameron. I'd like to hear from Tommaso. I'd like to hear from Annie. And as one person was saying last night, Mr. Interview Room was saying he thinks Tommaso should speak. Instead of telling people to leave his property, leave me alone, he should talk. What? Tell him why he wants him to leave? Well, I think you know why he wants people to leave. He wants you to get the hell out. But maybe he should talk. Go to the news and say, hey, I was offended you all thought I unalived my own mother-in-law. You don't know me. I'm not that kind of person. I have a good life, healthy life. I'm content with my life. I don't need to unalive my mom to get some money or ransom money if that's what you think. So I'm going to ask Tommaso and Annie, why haven't you all spoken to the news? Not saying you have to defend yourself, but to just say, hey, I'm sick of the bullshit. I'm sick of you all being out here with your iPhones, worrying about the car, worrying about why it was returned, wasn't returned, why we cleared. I'm going to tell you why from my own mouth. Yes, we took polygraph tests. Yes, we passed them day 5, day 6, day 12. Yes, we've been cleared. No, we haven't been cleared. No, we don't have anything to do with Nancy's disappearance. How about that? Just clear the air. Bonnie says, sounds like there was no break-in. The back door could have been propped open when she was at dinner with Annie's family. Well, let's go there, Bonnie. Well, who would have propped it open while she's in an Uber going to Annie's house, Annie Tommaso's house? Who propped it open? Think about what you're saying now. Somebody propped it open while she's at somebody else's house. Who is the who? Some of you believe the person's already there. But as I said, I don't believe nobody sat there for 4 hours. No way. So they propped it open, then left. And you don't think she would notice her doors propped open? She probably went in the kitchen, get a glass of water. Maybe get some dessert, get something else, some fruit before going to bed. Oh my goodness, what are these doors doing open? Don't you think she called the police? Oh my God, my doors are open. Why are my doors open? And I think almost 10 o'clock, she would feel a draft in her house. I hear the desert gets cold. So then you got to ask that. Does she have air conditioning on? Is she the type to keep air conditioning on? If she's frail and elderly, she probably doesn't keep the air on much because most elderly people have arthritis, old bones. They get cold easily. So you have to weigh everything. Was the house drafty? Any windows up? And if we don't know that this person's been to this house more than once, where are we with that? He only came one time. Did he do a dry run? Well, Google says they don't know. I heard that she allegedly left her doors unlocked. Let's talk about that, okay? Nancy left the doors unlocked. Then the perpetrator had a way in. Number one. Number two, him or they propping doors open, don't know why. That would be done, I would assume, when you broke in her house. Whether the door was locked or unlocked, still breaking it in. Because you're going into a house, you're trespassing. So you open the door and you decided, I'm going to leave it open. Meaning what? In case something happens, I can get out of here, number one. Or number two, you were thinking about taking her out the back, which makes no sense. If you have a car waiting somewhere on the side of the house where the garage is or the person is nearby, you would want to take her out the front on the front circular drive. So help me understand, sir, ma'am, y'all, they, them. Why did you prop the back doors open? How many doors were actually propped open? Was this a staging? Ding, 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 ding. This goes back to family involvement. I want to make it look like somebody kidnapped Nancy Guthrie. This is not a kidnapping. But you don't know that, and I ain't going to tell you. I'm going to let you figure it out. Was this a staging to make it look like Mrs. Guthrie was kidnapped? But indeed, this was a deliberate homicide, that the lady was unalived at her address and carried out in a rug, tarp, blanket, coverlet. Because you can bleed while being unalive, depending on how badly you were assaulted. Come on now. Blood just don't stop dripping because you're dead. It's got to run somewhere. And maybe that's where the blood came from, at the front of the house. He took her out through the front. Like somebody said, you got to be able to get her out, got to get the door open, got to be able to get her out at the same time. So maybe that's why some people think he needed help. But you still have to use common sense. Many people have been unalived by just one person, and ding, 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 they had to go out of a door as well. So I don't know why everybody thinks you need help unaliving people. Because the average person is unalived by just one person. And they are carried out of a door and into a vehicle. And when you have time, there's nobody around. It don't matter how long it takes because there's nobody around to interrupt you. And possibly this person knew this. So this is why some people believe she knows the perpetrator. Because he or she or they had to have known they were not going to be interrupted by a brother, cousin, son, daughter, somebody visiting. And I always think about that as well. You took the chance of perhaps company was coming. Who would know that? Only somebody close to the victim. How do you know that Savannah wasn't coming in, flying in to visit her mother? And that's a scary thought as well. Stay woke, everybody. What if Savannah was coming in late to see her mom? Flying in, got her around from the airport. Just imagine driving up while this is commencing. Nobody ever talks about that. Nobody ever talks about that. Nobody ever talks about Cameron or Savannah coming into town while these jokers are doing their thing over here at Nancy's house. Maybe that's where some people are going with the inside job. Well, we know that Savannah and Cameron, they ain't coming. They ain't flying in. So we got all this time to stage this up and get mommy out. Very interesting. Something to ponder on. That's what Annie told her when they called her to tell her that Nancy was missing. So what are you saying about it? You believe it's an inside job? Or somebody that knows Nancy? Somebody that's worked for her? Because I always tell people, you always forget something. And the more I listen to these podcasts, the more I think of something new that somebody ain't discussed, I haven't discussed. And that's one thing. How did you know that somebody else was not going to be coming or going out of Nancy's house? You picked this house, didn't know her, but still, you're still gambling with the fact that somebody could be coming and going. Could be a college kid coming home. Visit grandma, auntie Nancy. Say, whoa. She could have had a friend coming in, a sister coming in, a brother coming in, a great niece coming in. That's why I said, that's the one thing I haven't heard anybody discuss on a podcast. What if somebody was coming to Nancy's house for a week or two, vacation, while this was transpiring? Just imagine pulling up, and they're in there beating up this 84-year-old, and you're standing out there banging on the door, trying to get in. And now they're out there listening to you bang on the door while you're also in there unalive and an 84-year-old. Say, whoa. Maybe that's why some people believe this was an inside job. We're going to do this because we know ain't nobody coming here at dark 30. Nobody's coming to Nancy's house. Nobody visits Nancy's house at night. Nobody's coming from out of town. Cameron's not coming. Savannah's not coming. There's no great niece, brother, sister, dog, cat, monkey. Nobody's coming. And yes, it is suspicious that after she has spent time with her family, just poof, voila, she's being assaulted in her house hours later after being dropped off. Hell yeah, it's very suspicious. And the fact that Savannah knew that the doors were staged open, or let's say they were open, propped open, is bizarre. So I'm going to talk to the perpetrator. Why did you open the doors? If you took her out the front door, why would the back doors be open? Help me understand. You propped them open because you were afraid of going in there? You didn't know what to do? You needed a clear break to run out in case somebody comes out with a rifle, a gun, a Rottweiler, what? Make it make sense. Let me prop these doors open in case I need a fresh getaway out of here. Yes, I do believe this is a doper. I believe the person was under the influence of narcotics. He or she or they were geeked up, doped up, drunked up, eyes bloodshot red. I believe that. And I believe you're going to hear that when the person's arrested. He or she is under the influence of narcotics. So whether he or she picked Nancy Guthrie for ransom, not for ransom, sexual assault, hired by the family, he is a doper. Either way. Where is he? Who knows what he has done? Why hasn't anyone called the FBI number and claimed this $2.2 million? Gang-related cartel? Don't know. Is she in Mexico? Don't know. Is she near the border? Don't know. Is she in the desert? Possibly. Hidden in somebody's house? Doubt it. Is she alive? I don't think so. What if she is? And this was a game. But where I have the problem with believing that this was orchestrated to be a hoax, she's alive, Nancy's in on it, is the fact that she's bleeding. Bleeding outside and allegedly bleeding on the inside, says Banfield, near the front entrance. I have a problem with believing she's a party to her own kidnapping because I can't see an elderly person wanting to be cut or punched. Some say the blood was staged. Well, where was the body while the person was staging the scene? So you got to make it make sense. You took her out earlier, but then how did the pacemaker stop connecting at 2 something in the morning? 2:28. Then you'd have to get gruesome and say, oh, well, they took the pacemaker out of her body, which is torture, and took it in there to make it look like it disconnected. That's a terrible thing for me to say, but I'm just thinking about the possibilities. If this is an inside job, all I can say is have mercy on your soul. And I'll say it even for somebody who isn't related to Nancy Guthrie. What you have done is despicable and unwarranted. Whether you like the old lady or not, she did something to you, you only did it for money, ransom, it's wrong. I feel sorry for the Guthries. I feel sorry if these family members have not done anything to the mother. I feel sorry for Savannah and her family. I feel sorry for her to be in the place that she feels responsible, that this happened because she's famous. I even feel bad for the people who live in the neighborhood because in the end, they have to have somewhere to sleep as well. And that place has an omen on it at the moment because of an old lady missing. I wouldn't want to be in that neighborhood, and I wouldn't want to be in Nancy Guthrie's house. Now, some people will say, well, you shouldn't be asking about what they're going to do with the house. Well, I can ask because I'm queen. I ask questions. What are you going to do with the house? Because I can't see anybody wanting to go in there or live in there. Why would I want to go in this house and be a part of a house where my mother was hurt? And I'm going to tell you something else I noticed before I check out here. I didn't see anybody going in to clean up anything. Okay. I didn't see anybody from a cleanup company van going in to her house to clean up anything, whether it was the entryway, bedroom, kitchen, wherever she was assaulted. No type of van that has cleaning solutions, something, written on that logo, unless I missed that. And also, I had told you all, if I was Savannah, I would have been afraid for my safety being in Tucson, because she didn't know allegedly what was going on. So I would fear for my safety, quite frankly. I would fear for the safety of my sister and her husband. You don't think they did anything, you're appalled that people are accusing them, then I would have feared for my safety even more. I can't be here. This place is unsafe. I need to know what happened to my mom, but I don't know if I should even be around. Then, like she said in this interview, we couldn't even go outside because of everybody, wanting to get a picture of it. Annie, have you gotten your car back? Because we're approaching 2 months now. Have you gotten your car back? What is the shape of the car at this moment? Is the car drivable? What are they going to do with mommy's car? Are you all going to agree to sell the car, keep the car, give the car to Cameron or Annie? Annie, do you all need another car? And yes, what are you going to do with the house? Hell yeah, I can ask. Why not? Because you're now talking about just an empty house sitting there with a swimming pool and a patch of grass surrounded by cacti, shrubbery, and just an open season for some more nut jobs to come crawling around and take stupid pictures and blog from. What are you going to do with this house? What is the plan for the house? Because I think it is appropriate to ask at this point, going on with 2 months in. What are you all going to do with the house? Are you going to sell the house? Another relative move in the house? Annie, would you like to live in your mom's house? Now, this is where little birds will start chirping. Are you ready? Annie and Tommaso say, we're going to put our house up for sale, and we're going to live in the house of mommy. You don't mind, do you, Cameron, Savannah? No need in selling the house. We'll stay here. We'll put our house up for sale. Either way, it's a win-win for Annie and Tommaso, because if they sell their house, they'll get that money cash, number one. Number two, if this was the reason for knocking off Mommy Dearest to get a hold of any type of inheritance from a sale of a house, bank account, you would get that. They decided to all get a piece of the pie selling Nancy's house. So was that a plan in the beginning? We can't get money from insurance because we don't have a body. So we can split the money from the sale of Mommy's house. Just throwing it out there. Split what's in the bank account. And Savannah don't really need the money. She could just let me and Cameron have the money. I know the things that I'm saying may seem atrocious and cruel, and may even be deemed disrespectful, but I live in a real world where real people are unalived and real people go missing, and their family members are the reason for the season. So to me, the Guthries are no different. And it's no disrespect to them, but I speak facts pertaining to data, FBI data, that the average child is unalived by his or her mom or caregiver. So it would be no different than an elderly woman going missing, found dead, and it was by the hands of a family member or acquaintance. It is what it is. Who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie? Where is this person? Why did he do it? Are there more than one person involved? Is it an inside job of family members, distant relatives, disgruntled employees, Uber drivers, delivery drivers, somebody that she liked, dated, somebody that had a crush on her, infatuated with her? Yes, I'm speaking of Nancy. Or was this about being obsessed with Savannah Guthrie? Could this be an old flame from the past? Many of you don't talk about that much. Not a stalker, but an old flame of Savannah Guthrie. Somebody that became just jealous of her success. She don't pay them any attention. She don't message. She don't talk to them. Maybe they try to friend her on IG, Facebook. I don't know. And then the ultimate sexual assault of an elderly lady. Somebody with a sick fantasy of terrorizing elderly women in their homes, taking their private girly thing and unaliving her as though there would be no evidence left behind. Which is it? Stalker fan of Nancy, Savannah, sexual assault, or kidnapping and ransom by an outsider, and or somebody that knows Nancy, crossed her path, or an inside job. I told you all last week I was going to talk to you all about little boys dressing in girl clothing. What would you do? Take the polls on my community page. If your child asks you for a girl doll, would you buy it? And also, would you dress your boy child in girl dresses? I told you all I was going to talk about that last week. I'll try to get that live on by tomorrow since I'm running over with this live 2.5 hours. But I thank you for following this network. I don't know where this case is going. I don't want to say it's a cold case, but I pray for justice for this lady. I pray for the truth. I pray that somebody will finally come forward and say, yes, I have knowledge of where she is. I have knowledge of what happened to her. And I pray that they will also tell their part. But I also know that in telling your part means you are admitting to helping get a woman DEAD. And most people are probably not going to do that. They would lie. And that's possibly why no one has come forward to get the $2 million. They can't get it without implicating himself or herself. Sophie says, Savannah is an attorney. Maybe it was someone or a family member that she put in jail at one time. I don't know. Because I'm assuming she would have worked, I don't know, more on the East Coast. I know she did a little bit of news work early on in Arizona, but I don't know how extensive her law degree extends as far as work in the court. Don't know. Haven't heard anyone talk about that. Very interesting. So see, as I always say, it's always a possibility of something else. All I know is that she did the news work and then went on to court TV and did some work, I think, in Washington and then NBC. So I haven't heard much about any legal work she's done. But that's an interesting theory. Oh, in Arizona. Okay, yeah. But I haven't heard anything about, you know what I'm saying, any court history. And that's one thing I think is interesting, that we have not heard of any court history that could be a theory. Somebody prosecuted if she was a prosecutor. I don't know. I just think this is a horrible case. And as you heard her say in the interview, we have donated money to Hola said she wanted to know. We donated money to Missing Persons Foundation because there are other people out there missing as well, not just our mom. That is the point. No one is exempt from being a victim. And we all have to remember this. No matter who we are, We hear horrible stories every day, whether you are 84, you're 34. Boyfriend, girlfriend, ex, stalker, somebody that's interested, somebody you turn down, just some sicko wacko wanting to get close to you, wanting to harm you. You don't know people. And you just really have to be careful with how you talk to people, your conversations, joking with people, because you might share a mild joke with someone out in public and you don't think any more about it. And they may have access to your personal information, your address. You don't know who may show up at your doorstep. That's why I say you have to be careful. And one reason why I don't care for all this email business, I'm going to harp on this, because there are people who are tech savvy. They can find out where you live through your IP address. So really, it ain't a good idea to be always asking us for our damn email for every damn thing. Oh, we can send it, the information through either a text message or your email address. Well, there are people who are tech savvy. They can figure out where you live either or. There's just some people who are crafty like that. And if people can hack into the FBI, Washington, DC, government type business, then they can find out where the hell you live. And some people think this is so far-fetched, but it's not. Because everything you do now and you deal with, they always want an email. You deal with the bank, you deal with a store. You can't even go into a store and buy something. You understand what I'm saying? You know, just like recently, I'm shopping in Burlington. What do you need the email address for? Every damn store. We need the email address. We have your phone number. For what? Oh, you gonna send me some coupons? I'm just saying. You're not competing with anybody. So you're probably not gonna give us any coupons. So why do you need the email address? I always tell you to think about those things. Because we have all these people out here who don't have anything better to do than sit up on the internet all damn day, going from page to podcast to channel, looking, lurking, perpetrating, doxing, trying to put stuff together. We have a lot of sick people out here. This is why you have to be careful about telling personal business in the chat, on the channel. You have to be careful because you don't know who's listening. You don't know who's watching. This is why I tell all the fans not to put their government name on their Google account. So your friends and family know who you are. Google is just an app. You don't need your government name on a damn app. You just don't. Some people start out that way because they didn't know until somebody told them. I had to learn coming to YouTube. Oh no, you don't have to use your government name for your channel. You can use any type of, So I'm just giving you this information because, as I said, we have a lot of unwell people out here. And you don't want to be an unwilling victim because it doesn't take long to find people. Somebody decides to become fixated on you through looking at Facebook, IG. If you're the type of person that you are transparent, you've got all your personal information up there on your damn Facebook page. Because Facebook will ask for everything. Marital status, where you work, where you went to school, phone number. And some of you just don't mind putting it all up there so people can either find you by your phone number, your email address. You might want to rethink that. I'm just saying. I want to thank Google for this opportunity to be on YouTube. And I also want to thank them for telling me I've done great works on Google. They have let me know that I'm a popular person on Google. If you decide you'd like to follow me over there where I get more views than YouTube, 3 million plus views for my content and contributions to Google. That is by photographs and my commentary on businesses, restaurants, so on and so forth. I got that notification about 2 or 3 weeks ago from Google that I am a popular person on Google. Thank you so very much for the acknowledgement. And also, news break. I'm vastly approaching 2,000 followers over there. I get a lot of views over there as well. And that's a national database. News break. If you have room on your phone, download the app. You get a lot of breaking news pertaining to this case, other cases, what's going on in your neighborhood. All you have to do is hit local. It'll show what's going on in Tucson, Utah, New York, Detroit, wherever you live. So if you want to get the updates in your town without watching the news, just download the Newsbreak app and you will get all the breaking news here in the United States. It'll ask you what you like, your preferences as far as entertainment, food, sports, whatever. And that's the feed that will come up on your Newsbreak page. Thank you, Auntie Pony. Thank you. I want to thank you all so much for the love. And Queensland, really achy the past day. I don't know what's going on with this right arm, but it is killing me. And I'm just having some little slight issues from the thyroid and a little swelling to legs and feet. Just, I said I was going to walk today. I could walk outside right now. It's really nice here in Tennessee. I can walk in the parking lot because it's safe to walk, in the parking lot. And I can just take a little stroll, get me a little exercise because I wanted to wait until the sun went down anyway. But I've been a little just achy. So I just couldn't show myself. I didn't feel like it today. But I thank you all for tuning into this live. And I will make some shorts pertaining to Nancy Guthrie and Sheriff Nanos. Take the polls on my community page. It helps me get an idea of how you all are feeling about the crimes and situations that's going on in America. It just helps to go in and see what you all think about a certain situation. So a few of you have voted on the 3 questions that I asked. I will probably come up with another question pertaining to this case. I got to think of something else, but I'll put up something else. But that's the gist of everything. Have a wonderful weekend. Please check my movies for the week. And I'm going to talk about something else too by the weekend. I've got to say this before I get off this live. Honey, earlier in the week, I was lying in bed, decided to turn on Tubi, and I came across the most riveting documentary pertaining to Dorothy Puente. Please Google her when I shut this live off. You will not be disappointed from start to finish. This is the most disturbing case in America pertaining to a serial killer as a female. Dorothy was a very disturbed female who decided to unalive her boarders who stayed in her house. She had a criminal record of theft, fraud, and nothing would stop this lady from stealing from these men and women. Please check out the documentary on Tubi. It is worth your time. Or it's not a documentary, excuse me, it's a movie. Forgive me. It's a movie. And there are a few, I think, documentaries in the YouTube queue. I was trying to find something in the YouTube queue the other night when I came across that movie. But it's a movie, excuse me. It's a very good movie about Dorothy. It gives you a glimpse into her life. And if you go into YouTube, you can pull up a documentary that I shared to my community page. You get a little bit more information pertaining to how Dorothy grew up, and what led her to feel entitled to other people's money. And as you see, this case makes me think of this Nanos situation, okay? You got to think about all the things that Dorothy got away with from the 60s all the way up into the 80s, because nobody was checking and verifying a damn thing. And I thought about this the other night. How was she getting her Social Security checks? Well, the checks were coming to the house by mail, which is something people did back then. But where I was confused, okay, well, how is she cashing the checks? Because you still got to be able to cash the checks. So in the movie, you're going to see her cutting out her picture, pasting it on the other IDs, which were fraudulent. So I'm assuming this is how she was cashing the checks for at least the women. Now the men, I don't really understand that, how she was cashing the men checks because she's not a man. But you have to remember times were different in the 60s through the 80s. As you see with this Nanos business, nobody's verifying or double checking any damn thing. So she probably was going into a place saying, oh, I'm the payee for, Robert Bell. He lives in my house. I take care of him. I'm assuming she cashed the checks and she kept all of their money. Because in the movie, you're going to hear one of the guys saying, I need my money. Where is my money? So that means she had access to the check and she cashed the damn check and she didn't give him his money. Dorothy was hell. And just the thought of an elderly woman killing people who are living in her house so she can collect their checks, Social Security checks, and then bury them in her backyard. I heard of this story many moons ago, but I will say, Tubi, you did a great job on this movie. It is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. And it's scary at the same damn time because Dorothy was a real person. A lady who was just demented in her spirit to feel entitled to other people's money. And she had no problem with bedding men. Basically, she was prostituting herself as well. You're going to learn all that about Dorothy Puente. And also check out the documentary that I shared to my community page, where you get more in-depth information pertaining to Dorothy's past and how she grew up to how she became this demon. I will talk about Dorothy in another live, possibly by Saturday, and we can discuss how she became this horrible human being and how you have to be careful of the people you discuss things with, because her story, what she did to these men and women, goes back to what I talk about all the time on this network. You have to be very careful about what you talk about and what you tell people. You have to be careful with divulging any monies you get. If your mom or dad died, left you anything, if you drop Social Security, SSI, whichever, you have to be very careful. And one thing that I always tell you all here on this network, I live here in the South. We talk so damn much. I be out in the public and it just amazes me the stuff that people just tell all day. And I tell myself that, recently, you don't have to tell people, what's going on with you physically, with your health and stuff. Everything's not everybody's business to know. People might see me, with a limp or something. They might be like, well, what's wrong? What's going on? What's wrong with your knee? Blah, blah, blah. But you don't have to give them an itinerary of everything going on with you. Because this is what you all don't understand. Once you open Pandora's box, here comes another question, then another question. Then before you know it, you have given people a lot of information that they don't deserve to know about you. Because people just want to know, well, what you do here and how'd you get this and what you make and what you make on your job and how you afford to live here and how much does it cost for your rent and what stuff you don't have really no business asking people or me or anybody else. It's none of your damn business. And that's why I always like to tell you all that. Because I get it. Sometimes we feel nervous in conversation. We feel like, well, I'll go ahead and share this about myself. You need to be very careful what you tell people. Because telling people leads to other things. I'm trying to tell you. Things you think that's so harmless. But it opens Pandora's box when you start divulging your income, your health problems, marital problems, relationships, children stuff. You got to be very careful what you tell people, because you don't know who you're telling these things to. And especially with this case pertaining to Nancy, you should know now why you got to be careful what you talk about, who you tell things to. Spinning stories about your life, your friends, your family, who you know, who's well off, who's got a nice car, nice home. Because we do this in talking about people, do we not? Oh, my cousin, she's got a big house. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. It's got a tennis court. Da, 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 da. But you don't know where that information has traveled to after repeating it. And that may be just what happened to Nancy. Word of mouth. Hey, I work for this old lady. She's got a nice estate. She's always alone. Nobody comes by. There's no foot traffic. Bet she's got some money. As somebody said on the blog podcast the other night, maybe she had a safe. Good questions. Because old people like to keep cash around. 84, she comes from the world of keeping cash. Everybody's not debit card crazy. Older people at that age, they're still using checkbooks, checks, writing checks, and keeping cash in a little cookie jar or box. And I agree. I think you should always have cash on hand. Don't get comfortable with always running that debit card. You understand what I'm saying? Because you got to start keeping up with every purchase, and I recommend that as well. Always go check your account to see what you just spent. Make sure everything's up, above board. And that's one thing we have not heard pertaining to Mrs. Guthrie, that anything was missing, stolen, damaged, check fraud, debit card fraud. And as someone said on the interview room last night, which is very interesting, how long are you going to keep these people going from January 11th to February 1st? What are they getting out the deal to keep their interest if more than one person is involved? If indeed Google didn't get the information right about the photo steal? That's a damn good question. If others are involved, and let's say it's an inside job, what are you paying or giving these people at that time, past tense rather, to hold their interests, to double back to Nancy's house to go check out things and then wait weeks later to then go in and take her out? And was there ever a dry run of Nancy's house? Let's go to the house and check it out and see what pops off, bells ring, alarms. Was there ever a dry run? And as I said to you all weeks ago, go watch the video of Nancy making the bed on the Today Show and tell me what's wrong in that video or what you notice in the background. Because that may be the reason we are here today. And I've discussed it during a live. Nancy was on the Today Show. They filmed from her bedroom, her showing how to make up a bed, and they had a little contest with the Today Show hosts to see how quick they could make up a bed. But what I want you to focus on is her bedroom. Sophie. Not that no curtains, that they were pulled back and they were open at 5 in the morning. People acting stupid outside. I found that very disturbing. She's got a film crew in her bedroom and her curtains are pulled back. Curtains, blinds, whatever, pulled back. And you can see pitch blackness behind her. And the first thing I said, no person would get up and open their blinds or curtains at 5 in the morning to have darkness peering into the room, knowing that there are going to be cameras there. That wouldn't make any sense, because then you would have the reflection through the glass. But she did. So that told me that was years ago when they filmed this, and I don't know what year it was. So fast forward to 2026. If you could film from your bedroom at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning with the windows open, no view of trees or anything, daylight, you probably lived that same way. And perhaps the perpetrator knew this, and he, she, or they could walk up to Nancy Guthrie's bedroom, glass slider, which is whatsoever, and peer through and watch her habits. Are we going to find out the person had been standing at her windows all alone for God knows how long, watching her every move, watching her undress, go to sleep, watch TV, and anything personal. When you look at the blue door in the back, does it have blinds on the door, or you could stand there and look straight through the glass? Stay woke. Same with the patio doors. Could you stand there and look straight through? No curtains, no blinds, no shutters on the doors. Most people who have French doors, they have no reason to have shutters, blinds on them. But those are the most dangerous type of doors to have, because all you have to do is knock out a window pane, break the frame, and or break the pane closest to the latch and unlatch it, stick your hand through. Don't help a perpetrator to get into your house. That's the point I'm trying to make. You've got to close your blinds and your curtains. You don't know who's looking. Even if you're in a skybox, you don't know who's on the ground looking with binoculars. Some of this may seem crazy to you. Well, it's no more crazy than me discussing an 84-year-old woman missing out of her house. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's looking. You don't know who's listening to your conversations. You don't know if this person was crawling through the brush at night, knowing she was alone, and stood and walked around from door to window to door, watching her walk through her house, and just stood there watching her, drinking a cup of coffee, eating a donut. And perhaps she left the doors unlocked, and he tried them one night. Oh, she don't lock her doors. Well, this is what I'm going to call the Kohlberger effect. Let me see if I can get in. Oops, the slider's open. Hot damn. I'm in. Because I don't doubt that Kohlberger had been in that house of the Idaho 4. He had been in there before. And that's just as scary, knowing that this thing walked around as you slept, peeping and smelling and getting off on being in the house with these females. And then decided, I'll be back. I will return. Did this perpetrator exact a dry run of Nancy's home property? And as I told you all, she couldn't walk, couldn't get around. Nancy could have had a whole human living in her back guest house, and she wouldn't have even known. Nobody talks about that either. How do you know if somebody wasn't staying in the guest house? Was the guest house secure? Bingo card. I haven't heard a damn thing. Some very interesting information pertaining to this case. The fact that Google did all the digging and all they can come up with is this one video of the perpetrator at the Nest camera and one photo still without backpack and the gun? Is it the same day, February 1st? This is some creepy SHIT. My prayers are for the Guthrie family and those living in Tucson and the United States in general, because this should give everyone pause of why you need to be about your business where you sleep. Because if you're not safe at home, you aren't safe anywhere. Anywhere. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. Take the polls on my community page. Follow me on the Newsbreak app. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. And if you also would like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live. I've been talking to someone, can't get off this live, I'll tell you, who many of you have heard of, a man who thought he had saw Summer Wells years ago. And he was supposed to have shared his story on this network a few months ago, but we never did the live. And he told me something early this morning on IG about some man creeping around his property or another property, thinking it might be an undercover. As I told him, I didn't, think the photos he had sent was Summer. But he said he had a story he wanted to share, and he's been on other channels talking about his experience with thinking that was Summer living near him. And obviously, law officials have debunked his theory. But I may bring him up and let him talk a little bit about his thought process pertaining to the disappearance of Summer and whatever he thought was going on with his so-called neighbor. Thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Please check out that movie on Tubi about Dorothy Puente. It is a very, very good movie based on actual events pertaining to boarders who were living in her home back in the 80s and how they mysteriously vanished to only be found dead in her backyard. You have been listening to the Vol XL. Thank you.